Hello everybody, welcome back to Wappleville. Well, something different this time. We got some dark sword. Well, we have this dark sword miniature, maybe another one. We've got this Maid Marian figure right here that we did in a basing tutorial. Might scrounge up some of the other ones that we also did. Here's one with even more birch trees. These are all 3D printed right there. So again, dark sword figure. Vast majority, nearly all of them are metal. These are from Make It Epic Basing. Printed on a Sonic Mini 4K with the Soraya Smoky Black resin. Going to try and give these a little shot here with the paint and see what happens with them. The pre-glaze I think is going to be pretty simple. Nothing too complicated. Not quite sure what we do color-wise here. I was thinking maybe something with violet here. I saw this here with the green. Maybe we go something with the violet here, because then we could have a bunch of green down here, and that might be a nice little standout for it. I think here you're going to have mostly Van Dyke Brown, that sort of thing with the pre-glaze. So I think we'll maybe stick with something more like the Egyptian violet here, and some Terra Rosa. Cloth, whatever this is. Hey, Imperfect Idea, how you doing? Nice to see you again. So, oh yeah, last night was very fun. Let's get our hobbitses out here. So it was kind of neat because I'm pretty sure, hey Landrest, how the heck are you doing? And Paint Liquor, I'm pretty sure that I painted the old metal versions. I know I painted this, like with the crazy little helmet on his head. I did paint that one. I'm not sure if I painted, I think I did paint Mary, the old metal one. Hey there, Crazy Wolf, how you doing? Nice to see everybody. So there's some nifty ultramarines right there. That was very fun. But maybe we'll go with the violet. I was kind of thinking about this sort of bluish turquoise. Maybe we still try that. I don't know. We might still give that a shot. I like doing it here, but oh, there's our violet over there. So I don't know. We'll just have to find out. We'll figure it out as we go along the way. I guess gee whiz, could have used some more. Speaking of Van Dyke Brown, could have used some more of that. However, we do have I don't know, we got some burnt umber. I can throw that in here. I'm obviously not a staining color, but then this is pretty darn absorbent stuff. This is the bulletin board cork, so should do an okay job there. It's a Paint Liquor Crazy Wolf. Nice to see you guys back. So, Landrest, now you don't have another hobby night going tonight, do you? I don't think so. It's still Saturday here. I know for a bunch of you guys it's still Saturday, since you're not on Central Time. What the heck? We'll throw some more on this black here. Well, I guess it's going to be kind of a little more burnt umber than I thought, since we don't have a whole bunch of the Van Dyke Brown. And I could put some more out there. However, what the heck? Let's just have some fun with that, see what it does. We're also going to welcome back Recoil. How you doing, Recoil? Nice to see you. And again, thanks so much for last night. Really appreciate that. Now, to get this burnt umber, not going to have a whole lot of staining, so I think I'll just chuck a little bit of the Mars Black in there. It should be interesting to see what happens when we go to paint the birch bark here. There's a little picture over there on the side. That's what we're looking for. I've done birch bark in 2D. I think there was one time where I don't know if I really sculpted the texture on the tree. Maybe I did, but I do remember painting a tree. I think maybe I just took a little branch or something like that, and I think I actually did try to paint it up like a birch tree. Well, thanks so much, Rico. Really appreciate that. All of those have made a huge difference for sure. Here, even sometimes it's as simple as, oh yeah, it was a power. Oh yeah, that's right. It was a power strip that could be controlled, like you would control an echo or something like that. Which she was fond of those before, and now they're really kind of important. Hey, finally, Never, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Yeah. Let's just keep going. Well, we do have a little bit of our Van Dyke Brown there, so we can throw some of that on this tree. Not necessarily going to paint that one up like a birch tree. That's also another Make It Epic basing bit, of course. And let's see, where's our... there's our Kathy Jiro miniature, so you can get a little chance to see what some of these look like. What I haven't had a chance to do with any of the Make It Epic basing bits is mirror them. That's the thing, right, Landrest? You mirror them, and then you get a little bit more out of it. Hey there, Trash and Gerard Monster. Nice to see you, too. Well, finally, never. Hopefully, we can have things nice and mellow here, nice and chill, and get you off to the sleepy place. Because that sounds really good, actually. But yeah, hopefully we can have something nice and mellow and chill here. Maybe we do something glowing there. Now, see if we do. But see if we do the darker violets here. Then I would actually have something to... You know what? Maybe we could do that. We could do a glowing... We never do object source lighting on this channel, ever. It's about time we did some, right? So maybe we'll have that be glowing. Now, the other thing I'm also going to do here is see if we can move this down just a smidge so that you can see that. Yeah, Trash, it's been... Well, it's mostly been snowing the last 3 days. It went from basically 70-something degrees down into the low, well, mid-20s. Mid-20s, low 30s, and there's been snow. There's also been a Monster Den Minis. Monster Den, how you doing? Hey, Monster Den, look at this. We're just getting started. Hey, Following Freely, how you doing? So everybody, please give Monster Den Minis a follow. Also, give Following Freely a follow. Hey, Dark Cortez, Dazfilla, how you doing, Dazfilla? We'll go with Dazfilla. So Monster Den, how the heck are you doing? As always, thank you so much. And, if you want to post anything there in the chat, I know you just finished your stream. You don't have pictures of what you were doing, but why don't you chuck that in there? So last night, we were painting up some hobbitses. Look at this, some tricksy hobbitses. What was that, 4 hours for these two guys, start to finish, like usual. Did a little bit of texture on the cloaks. I mean, nothing super fancy. But we've also been painting some of these on stream. These Conquest miniatures, they're little chicken riders here. Dude, it's Thanksgiving. Don't say chicken. Don't call me a turkey either, because that's kind of offensive. So there's, yeah, we've been painting up a couple of these guys. Hey, JP, nice to see you. Here's another one right here. Nifty little color. Well, there's our Egyptian violet. So we'll be, I guess we'll be employing that here on the clothes. Well, recoil, that was, I mean, it really has made a, well, we probably wouldn't still be around here if it wasn't for everybody like you guys all being so generous. So here's, again, this is the Kathy miniature that Dark Sword did. And here's the same basing bit. Same thing we have here. These are 3D printed. They're from Make It Epic Basing, these fantastic birch trees. We have another one over here. This is, oh, they're made merry. And this is one of their newer sculpts as far as Dark Sword goes. One of their newer ones. And again, more 3D printed birch trees. Yeah, I've got that. Well, here's some of the, I mean, this is just a tiny selection of some of the Dark Sword stuff that we painted recently here. So there's a couple of them. And oh yeah, that's right. We have this one here with a little bit of a kind of an ultramarine blue theme going on there. That was very fun. Actually, so Monster Den, that's not the November release, is it? Because it was weird. Sometimes I'll get these messages from these emails, and they're previewing something actually is an existing release or a release from last month. It's kind of weird sometimes. But, well, we do like our Loot Studios stuff here. I think this is the most recent Loot Studios that we did. I've got a bunch of them printed out. I have a whole bunch of them printed out. Just haven't had a chance to get those prepped and based and ready to go. So Daz Fizzle, yeah, the Dark Sword stuff, it just, there's a lot of character to it. A lot of fun character. So again, we're just going to be, we're just going to hit this all with the Egyptian Violet. And then we're going to try and do some object source lighting here. So what we're doing, we're using traditional oil paints for those that are not familiar with what we do here. Now again, whether you're doing those larger things, and here's some things that don't necessarily have quite as much of a bright color scheme. the same color we used for the skin tone is actually the same color that we used for doing the rust on that Monster Mini. Or no, here's well, this is also Monster Mini Mayhem. I think this is March of last year, so I got to find these here and try and print up some of the other stuff from that particular release. So it's a okay, well then that makes sense. Thanks, Monster Den. That makes way more sense. That it was a preview for something else. Okay, but not part of the regular monthly release. Yeah, and we just did paint we printed up a whole bunch of dwarves, that for sure. Now, thanks, Dasville. Oh, and let's see, what was the latest of our landscapes of Middle Earth here? Let me see if I can find our Osgiliath. No, I think that's a few paintings away. No, that's not Osgiliath. That's not Osgiliath. Maybe this one is right here. Let me see. There it is. So here's our latest landscape of Middle Earth. There's the Witch King. Kind of wonder where the heck the Ramus Ichor went and why there's no Pelennor Fields. Just a bunch of grass. It's like, what happened to all the farms and the orchards, man? We were looking forward to picking some apples. Hey there, Luminous. How you doing? Sorry I didn't get a chance to give you a heads up that we were going to be doing this, but look at that. See that? That's just the Egyptian Violet plus whatever other junk was on that brush. Oh, look at that. See, it's a nice little, that's why we call it the pre-glaze, because it's not just a dead zenithal thing that we're going to paint over. It's something that we can actually paint with. So we're using these makeup sponges here, and we're just taking a little bit of that away. Not all of it. As you can see, some of it's left behind. That's all wet paint right there. Yeah, all that is wet. Now I'm thinking we haven't done either blue or green object source lighting in a long time. And we might go with some green then, because, you know, object source lighting. It's not like we never do any kind of object source lighting on this channel. We certainly don't do magenta. I mean, it's not like we do firelight ever. We never do that. Nope, never do firelight. And of course, never blue object source light. No, we don't do that. We could do magenta, but I think we're gonna. Ooh, actually, that might be fun. Do we? No. Well, let's just. Oh, look at this. We have some fluorescent green over there. Hey, This Mechanic Games, how you doing? Nice to see you again. So, Luminous, hopefully the basement is still hanging tight there, temperature-wise. Now, we're just going to throw some of that homemade fluorescent green. And again, a couple of different ways you can make that. You can either use the Green Stuff World powdered pigments, or you can just get other things on Amazon. You mix them with linseed oil, poof, you got yourself oil paint right there. Not kidding. I think I'm also going to grab me some phthalo green here. Wow, not much left of that. Oh, that's right, you moved it up to the room. Now, Luminous, you weren't using a grow tent or anything like that to kind of hold in all of the vapors, so to speak. That's what I need here after Landras sends a box of chocolate-covered raisins. Well, JP, that sounds fantastic. Well, first of all, how did it go? Second of all, what was I going to ask? What did you paint? And if you have any pictures or anything like that and you want to share them, I mean, that's just fine. And again, hey, Monster Den, if you wanted to share some pictures of what you've been doing, I don't know if you had a chance to yet. JP, I still have to get one of those. Yeah, we don't actually have one of those yet. Unfortunately, things kind of went sideways here just as I was about to try and purchase a few. So I never actually got the chance to do that. Yeah, see, Luminous, that's what I've been trying to tell people, is that I don't really, it was the whatchamacallit, that 90% alcohol that I was smelling. Now again, we're going to start out here with the object source lighting, because why would we just tack this on at the end when we could just do it right now? And then all these areas we know, they're just going to get the green light on them, so why Why hassle ourselves painting a whole bunch of other stuff and then paint it a second time with the green? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, that's right, because it's the new snazzy one. So Luminous, do you feel pretty much? I know we were talking about it a bunch of times after several sandings and alterations there of that plate. You feel pretty much solid now that no matter what it is that you're trying to print, you just set it to go and it's gonna do what you want, right? Everybody, please check out the pics that JP posted of the Iron Painter. Now, this Mechanic Games, I think, weren't you? You were in the chat right when I was talking about my long-time camera of 17 years died, and that the phone camera, which was supposed to be this fantastic thing, was hideous, like all phone cameras, at least for taking pictures of miniatures. It was garbage, if you pardon my French. That was horrible. That was just nasty. So we went to set about, could we find anything that was even close to the old 17-year-old nasty camera? And we found something. And gosh darn, if it doesn't kind of act like the old one and takes pictures, well, obviously a little bit better than the old one does, but it does video. Obviously, could be Wi-Fi enabled. So that's kind of nifty. I'll be able to, it does expand a lot of the things that I could do here without having to rely on, say, you want to do those typical, like a thing on a round table, right? Or a group of miniatures on a round table, instead of trying to use, well, the stupid phone camera or trying to set up a webcam for it or something. I could potentially just use that camera. Let's see. Mostly had one object pull off the supports. It wasn't hollow. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Saturn II. Well, JP, I don't know. How did it feel just getting a chance, right, to do that and putting the speed to the test? I love me the Iron Painter stuff. All right, there we go. So see, we've kind of already established a little bit of our stuff here. Now, I'm actually going to take my sponge here, and I will take away a tiny bit there, because I want the staining of that. And I also want to be able to get some subsequent layers, so I can still even take away some of that paint. Here, just dabbing some of that away. And now we can maybe come back and go a little bit brighter with some of that. Alright, well, finally, Never, you have yourself a good sleep. I completely understand that the desire for sleep, believe me. And I hope it's a nice, restful one. You wake up all refreshed tomorrow, ready to go, ready to paint tons more miniatures on a Sunday. Yeah, on a Sunday. Look at me, remember what day it is. Well, this Mechanic Games, I hope that the success, you have a lot of success in that search, and you get something that's just not too much of a hassle, right? So Green Fairy Studios, this, well, now there's some radiant green in this, but look at this. Was remember the last of the one of the last color theory videos where we mixed up some of the new fluorescent stuff? Yeah, we're using some of that. Some of the green right there, and then everything else is just, at this point, some phthalo green, a little bit of radiant green. Yeah, Luminous, sorry that I wasn't able to find that setting for you. Again, those settings were done well over a year ago, possibly even longer. So I'd have to look at the printer settings, and I haven't had Chidubox open in probably a good 4 or 5 days or so. So yeah, a little bit of phthalo green. That was in kind of our starting batch here. And now he's starting to brighten this up just a smidge. Doesn't take much, does it? Just a simple old dry brush. Now look, see all that darker stuff on there? Gotta come back this way. Of course, this is nowhere near the lightest green that we can do. We also have to start, before we get into any lighter greens here, we have to start doing some ambient stuff over there. Yeah, that's the Marbler stuff, Green Fairy. If you shoot me a message on the Instas or something like that, I could try and send you a link to it. It's just on Amazon, just Marblers. And just avoid, well, the purple stuff. Make sure that it's not metallic stuff because, well, Megan was trying to be nice, got that for me, and it turned out to be the metallic stuff and not the fluorescent stuff. So we had 6 hours to paint. Well, sorry that there was a little bit of a technicality there for you, JP. All right, now we're going to have to say enough with the green right now, except maybe a little more down here, just a touch. Just a little bit, and then we're going to start doing some of our ambient stuff here. Yeah, maybe a little more on this. What the heck? Here, let's just have some. I don't want to do too much on that birch tree because I actually want to paint me a birch tree. Yeah, Laminesse, it was set a long time ago, and it has not has literally not changed at all since then. All right, back to one of our little filberts right here. Time for Radiant Gray. That would be the Radiant Violet. The Radiant Green makes a Radiant Gray. And then we'll just have at it right here. We'll just be putting some plants and some foliage on this thing. So I'm not going to kill myself painting all of this. There, and then we'll just stick with I think the Egyptian Violet on that. Now here with our birch tree, let's see what we can do to set this up just with, again, quick old simple dry brushy type thing here. I might try to put some, oh, look at this. That's what the heck these things are. Wow, they really, they kind of went for broke with this. There's actually some curled up bark right here. Yeah, like it's peeled off the tree and curled up, which is hilarious because I've told you guys the story of obviously the cabin in the woods and all the birch trees there and how they would harvest some of the birch bark just laying on the ground. You know, big old trees, dead trees they cut down. They would snag as much of the birch bark as they could. So I still have literally some rolls of that. I have rolls of birch bark in the house here. So we'll have to find some birch bark and we'll have to spread that out, and then we'll have to do some paintings on that. Maybe some wolves or something like that. We haven't done a painting of a wolf or something. Well, JP, I'm glad that you had a good time, because like you say, that really is the whole point of it. It really is. To some centrally metallic oils. Well, Green Fairy, I think, well, nothing's going to have the same fairy dust as yours. Not even the Ganlin Radiance will have the same stuff. Now, let me see. Where's our 2D art stuff here? So maybe we could paint, so where the heck, there you are. Nope, that's not it. There it is. So we could paint something like that on a piece of birch bark. There you go. Nice little wolf or something like that. That could be very fun. And that was done with watercolors on hot press watercolor board, which ironically enough is pretty similar to the texture of the birch bark. Doesn't roll up. Yeah, the birch bark always wants to be rolled back up again. So that is the one aspect of that's a little bit of a crazy thing. Thank you so much, Fallen Freely. Hey, Fallen Freely, if you wanted to post anything in the chat, there's some stuff that you've been working on. Same thing there, Green Fairy. I know you got the SOB figures, as we call them. All right, good enough with that. Here, let me grab another one. Let's do some stuff with our violet here. I'm going to take a little changeola here. We're going to use some of our maybe radiant magenta there. There we go. And just change this around a little bit, give it a bit more of a hefty violet look. Possibly darken it down a little bit too, I suppose. And just shove that down there. Not really going to fret about that. There we go. Now it's a little bit darker as well. That means our green should show up a little bit more. Now we'll just, here, I'll grab me a paper towel. To a thorough cleaning of the brush here. And this is all we're going to do. We're just going to squeeze that, not going to put any cleaner on there. Just going to do that, get some of that paint off of there. Here, let me grab the Radiant Magenta. Guess a little bit more. You can see that I didn't put any thinner on that, whatever, because I want it to be as dry as possible. Now, see, then that gives it a little bit of a reddish tinge, which, well, red versus green. Okay, yeah, it's purple or a magenta. Still, it's a red versus green, even though our green is a fluorescent green with some with a chaser of phthalo green. Now we'll see if I can't get me some regular skin tones in here. Hey, Grey Wolf, I know it's awful late for you there. I hope that, well, you're feeling better, and I hope some of those new things that you're talking about, those all work out. Everybody, please check out Falling Freely's art there. You got a Discord link that you can check out. Hey, Grey Wolf, speaking of wolves. Ooh, hey, Grey Wolf, look at this. Speaking of wolves, there's a little dark sword wolf with a juniper tree and some birch trees. So there you go. There's a nice wolfie for you. Well, JP, again, glad you're able to do that. And I know sometimes you'll have it's an iron painter thing where everybody has the same miniature and the same paints and the same, well, everything, right? And I know usually the ones that I'm doing, you have about an hour-ish, maybe half an hour to an hour to paint it. Glad that you actually had some time there to really kind of ponder it and have some fun with it. So that's very cool. So yeah, Grey Wolf, if you wanted to post, let's see, ZPB, Zombicide Black Plague, yeah, ZPB. See, look at that, look at me using the abbreviations like all the cool kids do. Yeah, look, oh, actually, I should get some of my green flashed over to there. What the heck, we'll throw a little bit of that over here and whatever for the hair. We'll probably go more of an indigo for the hair, I think. Yeah, something like that. Let the green go there. Okay, now that we've at least started to do some of this, we'll go back and see if we can establish what is going to be the lightest green. Now, let me make sure here we've got the... Nope, that's an older one right there. Maybe this is our new one. Nope, that's not our new one either. Where did that one go? Actually, I'm going to grab this one. Nope, that's still not the one there. Let me make sure we got the right ones out here. Alright, start to throw some lighter greens up. Purple, let's just use the Brilliant Yellow Pale. We're going to bypass more of the Radiant Green and go directly to Brilliant Yellow Pale. Maybe a touch of Radiant Yellow so it doesn't get too cool. Yeah, I figured, Grey Wolf, that it's pretty darn late for you. I'll try and shoot you a message tomorrow with some updates and stuff. It hasn't been... I think it's going to be an awful lot like last month, unfortunately. Even the month, well, the last 2 months, yeah, it's going to be an awful lot like that. So I'll shoot you some messages, let you know what's going on there. Let's see, maybe that's going to be too late. I don't know, but let's, here. I think we're zoomed in as far as we can be, okay? We're zoomed in as close as we can be. We're going to try and here get some of our... And this still, we could go lighter than this. We really could. We'll see if we have to. We're going to sort of stick with the areas here that really are as close as possible to our original light source. Oh, that's a little pouch right there. Okay, I just wonder what the heck that was. And it doesn't take long before you look at this and you go, yeah, all right, we got a glow. We haven't had a greenish glow. Of course, obviously, we're going to be having a lot of that on our Army of the Dead series. There'll be tons of that. There'll be no shortage of green glow there. So originally I was going to be mixing up a... Oh, that's right. I want to mix up a blue. We already have the green. I want to do another, take the Green Stuff World blue fluorescent and mix up some of that. Because, where did you go? You can really see it here. See that blue-ish color there? We haven't had that in a while. I want to give that a try too on our color test figs. All right, there. Let's carry that down a little further. I'll get some of it on her hand, some of it on her hair. And it's always funny because people, they kind of instinctively think that object source lighting is going to take a whole bunch longer. It's really the opposite. It actually cuts down the painting time dramatically. There's really no guessing what colors go where. It's like, oh, it's over here, it's all greens. Because, well, this thing. So you kind of know in advance what it's going to be. You don't have to kind of, well, should I have this be a violet or a green, or should it be skin tone? Like, doesn't matter. The light's shining on it. It's green. And that's it. Enough said. Some activation banners for Free Folk and heralds for Army of the Dead. Remember Grey Wolf? You saw us painting Herald and the Heralds on the channel here a while back. Oh, actually, I found a dice, some more Lord of the Rings dice, stuff that GW doesn't make for, well, a heck of a lot better price, for sure. Same size, 16 mil dice, but now I've got something for my done lendings. I've got a second dice for our Gondalorians, and I've got some dices for... I got a Balrog dice now, so yeah, my Moria army has its own custom dice. Done lendings have their own dice, and even, yes, for my dwarves. Where the heck did they go? Where you at? Where's our dwarf? There we go. Even our dwarves now have their own special special dice. Doji, how you doing? So Doji, we haven't had green object source lighting in a while, so time to do that. Of course, we'll be seeing a lot of it pretty darn soon. In fact, I think Sunday is when I was going to film the Army of the Dead, the next episode there. So we'll certainly have our share of green fluorescent and also the blue fluorescent. So Doji, now it's a Sunday morning there. Do you have a special breakfast trip planned to the bakery or anything like that? Because I know generally, well, I think that's what you did yesterday. I almost said, well, for me last night, well, no, it was still technically morning. It's 12:04 here, so I guess that also technically qualifies as morning here. Now, it's a little bit later for Grey Wolf and some of those folks in that Eastern time zone. So here we can still do a little bit of blending brush there, right? Can always do a bit of blending brush. Sure as heck makes all this stuff so much easier. Well, anything, any kind of a spear, banner pole, whatever. Man, is it so much easier. The bakery is closed, but a delicious breakfast still is planned. Yeah, today was a little bit of a crazy adventure with food because it was one of those things where she just couldn't taste anything. The irony is, of course, too, you have to almost have stronger flavored foods or whatever, but those also, they have their issues because garlic, tomato-based type things, those can cause some issues for. And the new medicine that she got is not really supposed to be combined with antacids. So it's just kind of like, okay, we got to very carefully time all of this. Now, let me spread that green around a little bit more. There we go. All right, that's better. And Doji, I guess, oh, that's right. Actually, if you had a chance to post your latest miniature that you did, I know you posted it a couple of times in the chat the last few streams, but if you wanted to post that again, That would be very nifty. Now here's another one of the Dark Sword miniatures. Again, this is from Dark Sword. Really interesting because they're not, for the most part, they are not digitally sculpted. They're kind of sculpted the old-fashioned way. Where did he go? Is this the one with the... Nope. Is this the one with the... Here, nope, that's not him. This is the one. So, we stuck as many Make It Epic basing bits as we could on a 50mm base with a full-size Dark Sword fig. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, and the miniature all on a 50mm base. Oh, and by the way, this was the new tile grout stuff. So just as an assessment, this stuff is pretty darn rugged, as I thought, and it has some pretty good adhesion to it. So yeah, the paint's not, or the rocks and stuff, those are not coming off of there. Yellow EDC Dragon, how you doing? Thank you so much for that. Best wishes there. Now today, for whatever reason, it was a very rough start. And then, ironically, as the day went on, usually evening's not the best time, but she was better in the evening. She was very rough in the morning. Afternoon was kind of also not great. But then in the evening, for some reason, it could be either that new medicine maybe starting to take hold in some way. It could also just be that, well, this is that day 12, or no, day 11 or 10 or whatever, where things kind of start to change for a little bit on the positive side. So thank you so much, Grey Wolf Studio. Yeah, this was definitely a rough week, and there's some anxious waiting over the scans on Friday. So that's the other thing too that could also be a little bit of a wait. I just wonder what's going to be happening there. Now let me see if I can find. I don't think that's really the one that I'm looking for, but I don't know. I guess we'll just try and use this one to see what happens. Okay, I'm going to try and get a little more of my green out here in just a couple of places. Yeah, Doji, it would sort of set up a little bit of a, well, a rare positive domino effect where one thing could be reduced, which could also mean that other things might not be quite so extreme. So we're kind of hoping that works out. No guarantees. It could be totally the opposite, unfortunately. Well, you know what? We need to I'll get a little bit of our later skin tone there, and also a little bit here. We also need some over, snuck in over there too. So thank you so much, Grey Wolf, and everybody. We really do appreciate the best wishes and such. You know, it's the test was on Friday. Wasn't really expecting any kind of a answer today on a Saturday, and certainly not going to get one tomorrow. But again, pretty sure that there will be another transfusion. Well, not sure. I'm positive. I could have said that last month. But pretty sure one of those. Just not quite sure if that's going to be happening this coming Wednesday. And if that will delay the next session. Not quite sure, because that's what happened last month. I would also assume that same thing's going to happen. Now let me see if I can't get a little bit lighter here. Again, with our, well, you would call it the ambient lighting here. Don't want to make this too light, because again, the lighter the ambient lighting is, that starts to have a little bit of a negative effect on our object source lighting. See if I can use this here. Oh, as a, I don't want to say a micro blending brush, but it's a relatively small blending brush. Get this up here, and again, just it's not quite brushstroke maintenance time yet, but there we go. Now let me see if we can actually get over here all the way, maybe. Fast matte white, haven't touched it yet. just now. And we'll combo that with our fluoro green here. See if we can make something that's really intensely light. I think it's going to have to be pretty darn thin as well to get that over here, so, and to have it cover. So phthalo green, relatively intense color. Obviously our fluorescent green, pretty much quality. There you go. See, it is lighter. That is most definitely lighter. I mean, ideally, maybe I'm working on 2, 3, 4, 10 other figures, and we're messing around with those while we let all this stuff have a chance to set. But sometimes on stream, it's a little bit different, little different scenario. All right, not too much later there. I'll be probably coming back with some. Yeah, I will be. Not probably. I will be coming back with some of our really deep dark greens. And most likely phthalo green, and we'll establish some shadows, some edges. The nifty thing is that the phthalo green, even though it's a translucent color, with the correct approach, you can actually get that to cover. I know, so that's kind of when people are getting used to the oils, that can be something that's a little bit of a struggle for them when they're first getting going. So you have a good night's sleep there, Grey Wolf. And of course, thank you so much for the best wishes. We appreciate that. A couple more dots of this light here. Yeah. And we'll hit this, and we'll do this. So again, see, it starts to really bring this out. Now, that one's supposed to be coming into contact with our tree branch there. I'm just going to wipe that off with my finger. So Grey Wolf, hopefully, again, I don't know how next week is going to play out, so I'm not quite sure when or potentially even if the streams will happen. Again, just have to kind of wait and see. So hopefully, if I am streaming Monday, there might be some. Wouldn't be anything super specific, but maybe some sort of a plus news there. We would love that. I know there just has not been a whole bunch of that. People ask, and usually it's, well, unfortunately it got rougher. That's usually what is said. Now I'm going to go back over here. I just realized we could go lighter on this. So this is, again, also from Make It Epic Basing. It's just kind of a regular branch. There might be some more files that we try to snag from Make It Epic. I think some, the obelisks, that's something that I might have to get because, well, now there's some tasks that could really benefit from that. So Green Fairy, I think you were in when I was talking about doing the Armada terrain, and I wanted to print the palm trees. Oh yeah, hey Laminess, I'm gonna have to do some interesting supporting on some very tiny palm trees, because I need to reduce the. What's funny is they're not necessarily massive palm trees, the ones again from Make It Epic, but they have to be reduced down to Armada size. So like the palm tree can't even be as tall as that mast. And the palm trees to start out, I mean, they're like 3 times taller than the ship right here. So we're going to have to dramatically reduce those and then do some supports and see if we can make those supports not be too clumsy. Well, Laminess, I can try. I have almost all of the trees. I have almost all of those. So hopefully that's something that I can pass your way. Now again, I don't want to do too much light there. This I have to start thinking, is there any kind of shadow that's actually going to be happening here? Alright, we've been doing an awful lot of the lighter stuff. Now I'm going to go in reverse here. We're going to grab some of our phthalo green. Still looking around for the brush that I've been using. Now, where is that one? Just make sure that I haven't misplaced that one somewhere. Oh, there you are. That's the one I've been looking for. It was just hiding. Now, where's there? There's our phthalo green. Might mix a little bit of the fluorescent. Wow, look at this green fairy. Yeah, you want an atomic green, phthalo green, and fluorescent green. There you go. And once again, we're going to try and darken this down. We're also going to say hello to Sarge. Hey, Sarge. Oh, did you hear me talking about the palm trees? Thank you so much, Sarge. Oh, speaking of birch tree, there's one of the birch trees. And look, here's more. So these are just printed out at the size that 100% their size. I haven't tried to plus them up or take them down. However, I need to do that with the palm trees. I need to dramatically reduce the size of those. So I hope that you're doing good there, Sarge. Now, is it still a work day? Or are you actually back at the casa, hopefully? Maybe having some really, really tasty vittles? Oh, yes, we're going to darken the tops of these a little bit. This is where phthalo green can be almost like your Indian yellow, where it's sort of a translucent color, but it's also pretty potent. And if you balance your thin over thick and all that kind of stuff well enough, well, then you're going to get yourself actually some coverage out of it. Not too shabby. And again, here we're just going to... Here, let me go this way with it. Now, of course, all those birch trees are going to make some of those figures a little bit difficult to access, shall we say. Now I'm going to get a little bit of shadow over here. Same thing there. We'll do that down here, so it's not just that it's a... Yeah, see, there we go. Anyways, a little bit of shadow there. Same thing over here. Chicken adobo and rice. That sounds very tasty there, Sarge. Glad that you're able to now finally enjoy some of that now. Chill out after the long day of working. So we painted a couple of the hobbitses last night. Where did they go? Here they are. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. So a little bit of Merry and Pippin. Can't say we never paint hobbitses. We've actually painted 2 of each of these guys now. We painted the old classic Fellowship version. Speaking of object source lighting, where'd you guys? There you are. So the old classic versions, the old metal ones. Pretty sure that's the original Fellowship, as in the very first set that ever came out. I could be wrong, but I think it's the very first one. Get some of this darker green in a couple areas here. Then we'll have to again mess around with that. Some more skin tone over there. Here, maybe throw some of this green down over here onto the base. Gonna be some foliage there, so really don't want to go too crazy with that. Hey, M. Tellies, nice to see you. Everybody also, please give M. Tellies a follow. So, M. Tellies, I hope that you had yourself a really good Saturday. I wasn't sure if maybe today was a day, maybe at the game castle, doing any new stuff with the MetaZoo or not, showing that to some new folks. Well, JP, thank you so much, and of course, JP, well, again, congrats on the effort there. I really hope that that's kind of a nice little jumping off point there for future things, for sure. And thanks again for thinking of us too. We appreciate that. It's game night at Chez Landrest. It's game night at the Landrest. Now, it wouldn't just happen to be Landscaping Mars, otherwise known as Terraforming Mars. Because I think you guys have had 2 shots at that thing so far. Or is it 3? No, I think it's only 2 shots at that. Oops. That wasn't supposed to get covered, but it happens. No big deal. We can bring that back just fine. A little bit of a greenish, shadowy thing there. So now we've kind of reestablished some of those darker shadows. Oh, and by the way, this is less than an hour. All this, not even an hour. Go back to this again, our darker green here. So a little bit of shadow into that. And here's same thing. I think we'll just have to rely on some of our brush stroke maintenance, but that is not going to happen now. We have to wait on that for sure. Well, yeah, I'm telling you, if you want to kind of shout out the location there in case there's anybody in the area that wants to check out the MetaZoo, everybody please give MTellies a follow as well. And MTellies, if you want to post any of the miniature pictures there too. I'm not quite sure if you've had a chance to keep going with some of the miniature painting, given you're at some of the conventions, doing again, rocking the MetaZoo stuff. Alright, there we are. So if you're in the San Jose area, stop by any of the game castles there. Give me my lighter green again. Not super light though. Maybe something like this. It also changes that temperature just a bit. A little bit of the green. There we go. And just kind of doing a bit of a stippling brush stroke there. Take some of this away. Any brush can be a blending brush. This would be the proverbial micro blending brush for sure. Let's see, so the Redwood City store is going to have an MTelly sighting, it would seem. So we can come out there and support the MTellys. Now we'll lighten this up as well. Maybe this side too, just a smidge. Now we'll take the Van Dyke Brown, some of the umber. Do we take umbrage with the umber? No. If we don't use it, the umber will take umbrage with us. We also are going to get some of our lighter violets in here too. I think some of this stuff though, some of those wrappings, probably best to keep that a bit darker. Here, speaking of darker, we're also going to change that away from some of the green. Because not really pointed towards that light source. Not anymore. That will maybe just make that more like some kind of fur. Here's our indigo. We could do an indigo violet. That was pretty nifty. Oh yeah, we used it on the sun spears. The not dark sword. Well, dark sword definitely has a whole lot to do with Song of Ice and Fire. There is no Song of Ice and Fire without the purveyor of dark swords. So yeah. So that's just a mix of indigo and the Mars black. There's our really intense dark that we just don't have in here. It's a semi-pinline wash. It needed that bit of dark right there. That once again, it brings out some of the object source lighting for sure. Now we've gotten a bunch of light there where the lips are, but not much shadow. So we just threw a little bit of shadow into that. Now I'm going to take maybe now the Egyptian violet and the indigo. Here's our indigo violet. Just going to chuck that down here. Same over here. We just need that to be darker anyways. Alright, now how about we take some of that maybe radiant magenta and start to get that in on, well, the little bit of clothes right here as we wait for the hair to set, which probably sounds pretty hilarious. But just like any time we put the paint on there, we want to give that some time to have a chance to set. We don't want to just keep hammering away one color after another in the same area over and over again. So yeah, it's a little bit of the magenta onto the violet here. And again, we don't want to go crazy. making this too light, because if we do, our object source lighting will not appear terribly light. Hey, Wicked Elf, how you doing? So Sarge, the palm trees, well, let's see, I'm thinking of them next to Lord of the Rings miniatures. The standard palm tree thing that they print is about twice as tall as this Mahood rider here. And then you got all the fronds on top, which would probably make it almost a third taller. So it'd kind of be like, well, this. If that would probably go up to about there if you have the leaves on it there. So over this one. And then the palm plants, I haven't compared it next to a miniature. I'm just kind of guessing right now. I only just cured those things maybe 20 minutes before the stream started. But I have to actually make them, the irony is I have to make them a lot smaller so that I can use them for the Armada stuff. So Wicked Elf, how you doing? And Wicked Elf, of course, if you want to post any fabulous stuff in the chat, of course, everybody, let's not forget what we love about Wicked Elf. Yes, vellum foliage. Look at that. We used, speaking of Dark Sword miniatures, I have at least 2 Dark Sword videos that really strongly feature the butterflies right here. There's one, we painted up the miniature, kind of like a monarch butterfly, and then we did all kinds of fabulous vellum monarch butterflies. I've also used them as sort of almost like avatar, right, with the glowing butterflies too. And of course, some of the lily pads and other things. Really fantastic stuff. Lots of new things. So Wicked Elf can direct you over to that. Hey, Inganes, how you doing? So yeah, Sarge, I'm going to have to print those things, ironically enough, at about 20% of the original size, maybe less, to be able to have them work for Armada stuff. Which is just, that's going to be interesting. That's the last time I've reduced something quite that small. It's been a while. So we'll have to see. Obviously, I'm going to have to do my own supports for that, but... so some Black Sun 75s. Boy, Wicked Elf, I've only ever painted a couple of Black Sun miniatures. I've always liked those. Gee whiz, now do they have a bunch of... I don't know, say in the last year or so, have they done any kind of new-ish releases? And it's been quite some time since I've seen... it's not like they're not showing them, it's just I haven't really had a chance to look for them. Glad that you're doing well there, Inganes. Here, there we go. Now we're finally getting some of the magenta out of this. There. Minus that big old piece of fuzz. Yeah, Wicked Elf, I'm sure you're able to have all kinds of fun with the skin tones, right? Almost like it was a classic painting or something. And again, Wicked Elf, if you have any Insta pics or whatever work in progress things that you want to share of that would be spectacular. Now, here we go. Where's my... I just had the smaller blending brush. We'll use this thing here. While falling freely, you have yourself, again, a good night's sleep. Believe me, I understand the desire for a good night's sleep. We haven't had a decent night's sleep in weeks here. I would say at least 3 weeks, possibly 4. And I'm pretty sure the next couple of weeks, depending on how things play out, it could be... significantly towards that direction. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of that. Because unfortunately, they make a lot of these things start at 7 or 8 in the morning. And you have to be there X amount of time ahead of time. Plus, you have to get there. Which means that my normal time of getting to sleep is when we would actually be leaving to go there. So that creates a logistical quandary. Now, we don't have a quandary over there. All we had to do was just throw the magenta on there. Take our blending brush. Remember I was saying, oh, here we go. How the heck do you get at some of these areas? Well, the oils make that kind of easy because you just shove the paint down in there, you take a blending brush, and you do all the blending. No, hashtag no layers, right? Hashtag no layers. And of course, if you use the Wapelius discount code there, oh gosh, is it 5% or 10% off there? Wicked Elf, sorry, Armored Wolf is not here to do the moderation things. He is, well, he's in the continental U.S. He's actually jumped forward one time zone, considering his is like the last time zone. So he's actually come forward an hour. Let's see. Yeah, Sarge. Now, one thing that is possible, you could print maybe this one much larger. Maybe you break off the branches, and then you use some of the trees as a branch. So you could make this tree bigger. Say print this at 300%. And then you could use the 100% branches and such like that, or maybe just print these break off these branches, print them at 200%, break off these branches, and then you could just kind of piece together a tree. Actually, Sarge, remind me, because that could be an interesting project. For some terrain, to maybe actually print that at, say, print this thing at 300, then print maybe some of these branches, or the thing again at 200, and then use those branches. And it would require some sculpting, but maybe not too much, because then you could just use a bunch of foliage to hide the areas where there's seams or something like that. So it's a 15% discount. It wasn't 5, it wasn't 10, it is 15% generously again offered by Wicked Elf for all kinds of, again, fabulous prizes here. I mean, these, look at, you got the lily pads here. We've used those. There's the butterflies. I've used this and the ferns. We actually do have, will be a little bit hard to dig out here, but we'll try and dig this one out for you. There you go. Well, nope, that's minus the rider now. But we do have there some of these fantastic plants. There's some of the ferns right there. You just saw me pointing to some of those. So really nice stuff. 1 second here. Got to try and collect some of these things here that kind of fell all over the place. Not going to lighten up the hair too much more. I'm going to see what I can do now on the tree. And let me actually grab my reference picture. Here's my birch tree. There you are. Like I said, at some point I have to retrieve that birch bark that's downstairs, and then we'll have to do a nice little painting of it. Actually, Sarge, did you hear the story about the birch bark? I'm not sure if you did. And again, that is why we definitely wanted to do the Kathy and Jiro figure in the birch forest. Again, the Kathy's family has that cabin up there up north, and there's poplar trees there too, but the more significant thing is all of the birch trees that are there. And what they would do, they heard that I like to actually paint on birch bark, so they actually would collect the birch bark off of dead fallen trees or dead trees they cut down, and then they would bring that to me, and I would try to unfurl it, and then I would do some paintings on it. Now again, see, they actually have some of that bark kind of unfurled there. That's pretty nifty stuff, I have to say. Oh yeah, look at how difficult this is. I'm just taking this junky old brush here and mixing again with the pre-glaze that's already there. And this is not white. This is actually brilliant yellow pale. And you can see directional brush strokes here. Directional brush strokes can be important under any circumstance, but with birch trees, they are even more important. You're not going to go like this. Not whatsoever. You're going to be going this way. I want to follow the texture of our birch bark. So, Sarge, I don't know if you've... what were you thinking of printing up the birch trees at? I know you had it super gigantic on your printer there. But that might be something Again, taking these, print up some of the stuff bigger, and then see if it can be reformed again or reconvened into a much larger birch tree. Because that way the trunk wouldn't get too gigantic. Birch trees are not exactly super wide on those trunks. And everybody, please, again, check out Wicked Elf Miniatures. Right there, you got that 15% discount with the discount code. Get yourself some of that fabulous. Oh, that's actually, I thought that was a support that I missed. No, that's actually some kind of a fungus right there. Now, we could still add some foliage to this if we really wanted to. It's kind of funny. I haven't seen, well, usually with the birch trees, the further out you get on the branches, they end up being pretty dark, so we're not going to go too light on those. I do want to sneak my brush in here to like get some lights on that tree bark. We'll be coming back to do some of the little inserts there, some of the black interruptions there. Sarge, I didn't steam it. I just kind of just sort of flattened out because it was that fresh. Now the birch bark has been down there a number of years, so I might want to be doing that. Thank you so much, Monster Bucket. So Sarge, that's probably something I could do. I guess I could soak it and I could almost do like watercolor paper. I could actually stretch it like watercolor paper. Thank you so much, Monster Bucket. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I hope that you're doing well there, Monster Bucket. Happy Sunday morning. And just, 38 minutes into Sunday here. Now, all right, there we go. See, we're going to get a couple more light. Not too much because, of course, we do have... I'm actually going to cut back on that here. What the heck? I'm just going to grab this. And we're going to just tone down some of that. I just realized I would like to have a little bit of the greenish glow hit that over there. Hey, Bitron, I hope that you're doing well. So, Monster Bucket, thank you so much for 25 months of subs there. And, well, Bitron, sorry I didn't get a chance to finish the game, but I know at this point, just being able to play at all, that's a win right there. Just to actually be able to get to play a game, have the mechs out there, out on a table, and all painted in their full glory. So I'm at least glad that you got to do that much. Yeah, Monster Bucket, they're really fantabulous. Now, I haven't reversed any of it or mirrored any of them. So here's again, there's the Kathy figure. We've got another one over here. Where's our, there he is. So there's another figure, again, combined with some of those fabulous birch trees. Here's some more Make It Epic bits. The little fox, bunny over there, stump, a couple of plants there. Alright, so, well, again, Bitra, I'm just glad you got to do some of that. I know there's been a little bit of frustration and kind of well, we're going to do a game. Well, not able to, for one reason or another. So glad you finally got a chance to do that. Now here, I'm going to just chuck a little bit more of our lighter stuff. And then we'll do a couple of the dashes of our really light color, and then I think we'll get back and really start hitting some of the darks again. Yeah, Bithron, there's just something about having the all painted armies, right? There's just nothing quite like it. And some decent terrain. I know you didn't have a chance to break out your super snazzy terrain that you did. You did lots and lots of it, that's for sure. All right, here we go. Here's some of our lighter stuff once more. And really trying to emphasize now that linear effect here. And then we'll come back at it with the darker color. And if I was doing this in 2D, it wouldn't be all that different. Yeah, Monster Bucket, I mean, they have so many fantastic trees. They've got the sort of damaged trees. They got the fir trees. I don't know if you've seen my diorama with the fir trees, but here's a juniper tree or cedar trees, and there's the juniper tree. Really enjoy that. That's a little bit of a wolf right there. Really enjoy the juniper trees. Like I said, I have not had a chance to print them in or invert them or mirror them. Now, Sarge, have you mirrored some of those type of things to see just how different they are? Because there is a part of me that goes, is it really going to be all that different if it's mirrored? Nah, well, Bitsrod even better, because I know you worked so hard on that. Just a nice little reward there to actually finally get a chance to plan it with the painted armies to respect the terrain. Always must respect the terrain. I know that, I don't know, that always made us kind of different, especially me sort of different in that I would, having a whole table full of terrain that I made was actually way more interesting than having just one painted bust or something like that. Way, way, way more interesting. The process of making that. And well, Bithron, like you know, there is playability, durability, right? And then storability. And then those are, it's kind of like a tank, right? It's mobility, firepower, protection. And in some ways there's a fourth because there's expense also. Hey, acid burn. Yeah, Bithron, that's right, you still have some of those buildings to go to. So nice to see their acid burn. That was the last... Well, this whole week has not been snazzy, that's for sure, but in the later hours of today, there seemed to be a little bit of an improvement. We'll see if that kind of continues tomorrow. Certainly hoping for that. Now, I don't want to get too much of this light over here again because we got the object source lighting sitting over there. So let's not go too bonkers with this just yet. So nice to see you again, acid burn. Hopefully things are getting a little bit easier there for you. I know it has been a little bit challenging for a while there too. Now that's going to have to be our regular book, but we gotta come back in here with some of our darks. Now we've been doing a lot of light and light and light. Let's come back with some darks here now. Probably some Van Dyke Brown-ish. But yeah, Sarge, it's that age-old question, right? Mobility, firepower, protection. So realism, how real do you try and make that terrain? Because usually the more realistic it is, it can make it a little bit less playable in some ways, depending on the system and how the units work and line of sight and everything else. Then there's durability. Usually the more realistic it is, the less durable it is. So Grand Oracle, those were the hoodoo rocks. And actually, hey Sarge, if you wanted to post your pictures of the hoodoo rocks as well, so that we can kind of have a little bit more action for people here on those. So yeah, these are the hoodoo rocks. And this is a diorama that I want to try and do for the Patreon page. I did this real quick on a podcast, so I'd like to maybe try that again. Maybe with for a video. No, that's not going to be safe to put it there. I'm going to try and put that right over here. I don't know. Acid burn. That's just one of those. It happens. They have to just acknowledge stuff's going to happen, right? And Grand Oracle, like I said just a second ago, I haven't actually done the mirroring of anything. That's something that I kind of forget about doing that. I don't really know if that gives you that many more poses or not, or I think you know what I mean there. I don't know just how much extra that creates for you as far as different appearing stuff. Because I know some folks say, well, they don't really have that many designs in each set, but I think they kind of intend for you to mirror those. All right, again, doing some of these little darker interruptions in the bark here. Oh, by the way, this is a little over an hour in, so it happens quick, like we say here. Don't blink. If you blink, you're most likely going to miss something. I'm going to see if I can't take... Green's not going to make it there. I will take some of this. We'll just mix it up with their pre-glaze or some kind of... Well, there's got a little bit of violet in there too, it looks like. See if we can get some light over here on some of these that don't have anything to do with the skin color. Maybe we throw a little bit of a yellowish brown on here too, but kind of going with the gray right now. Yeah, now Grand Oracle, that's, boy, that was something that I was really hoping to do this year, actually, was to try and just experiment with Blender or Mesh Mixer. That's the other one, right? Mesh Mixer. Not to necessarily sculpt things, at least not right away, but to at least try and do that where you take maybe, well, like we were talking about with the trees, right? You take a branch and you stick it onto a tree and maybe just kind of mesh those together a little bit, even if you're going to maybe throw some actual sculpting stuff over the top. So yeah, I don't want this to be too much like what we did on the tree, but we do need some light over there. I'm going to have to also lighten up our skin tone. I know this stuff, I was thinking about making that a lighter gray-ish, whatever. So Aaron Michael says that Mesh Mixer might be a fun way to go with a much lower learning curve. So that would have been really, really fun to try. So Art and Michael, hopefully the battle with the student was there. You said there was 3 of them right now that you're doing battle with. Hopefully you end up victorious. Now we're just trying to shoot a little bit of some light on the hair. Now this one could have been actually a digital sculpt. As I look at the hair and the way it's done, it kind of reminds me more of something that might be more of a digital type of a sculpt. Nothing wrong with the digital sculpting. It's always going to be clearly different from something that was done physically by hand with the tool and grain stuff. They're never going to be the same. Yeah, not that one's better than the other. They just have that very distinctive look that's different. Now back to the fast matte white over here. Couple bit, it's a little too thin. We're going to try and thicken it up. It's not like we have a ton of it on the end of the brush. It just doesn't have as much thinner in it, that's all. Because I was hoping there we go. That's what I need to do. I got to do this again on the other eye. It'll be tricky with the hair down in front of it. And I think that helps just a bit. I think, what did I... Oh, actually, I did manage to print out some of the moonlight miniatures earlier. And we have started printing let's see, some of the new arch villain. I gotta print out some more of their lizard dudes from that release, and then I gotta start printing out the Macho Riders again, because, well, Macho Riders. I think I've actually printed out all of the bats. That would be these guys right here. And this is a part of a series, a painting series here. Where's our arch villain stuff? No, I think we've already passed it. Nope, that's our frost stuff there. Let me get there. Nope, that's the Artisan Guild. There we are. So that would be this guy over here, the guy in the lower left-hand corner. I actually printed out another one of him, and then I think the other poses so that we could try those. Now, well, Luminous, again, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And, well, here's hoping that we get the box here and we can try and do some stuff with those. Tomorrow I was going to try and do that partial rebuild here, and that would be the area where we would try to be streaming or at least filming the larger scale stuff. So here's hoping that tomorrow works the way I'd like it to. Well, then it's a good. Okay, so I'm glad it's Monday and definitely not Tuesday or Wednesday, because it's very likely we wouldn't be here on one or both of those days. So thanks again, Luminous. I really appreciate that. And you have a good night. I'll shoot you some messages tomorrow. So Trash, I think I have all the files there. I was trying to print out some of the Arthurian stuff. That was my focus, was the Arthurian stuff. And then a couple of the larger scale, like the 72 millimeter type stuff. I haven't really had a chance to really explore it and look through it very closely. I just kind of went, okay, here's a file. let's try and print that one. Actually, Luminous, I think it's going to be probably just the right size. I think it'll be the Goldilocks size. I think it'll be not too big and not too small. I think it'll be just right. And boy, Luminous, can you imagine, of course, object source lighting on that, but just all of the, just literally slapping colors on it and then just pushing them around. That is going to be an absolute blast. So thanks again, really appreciate that. Do we, no, maybe not there. But over here, I think we need to get a little bit lighter skin tone again. We'll have to do something here too on the pouch. Probably not any green, because the arm would be blocking some of that light from working its way down there. And here's, I'm going to let some of that green work its way into that. I was thinking about a little bit of brushstroke maintenance. Here we're going to actually get some of our red in the skin tone. That's the not Fanchon red. That would be the Naphthol red, which pretty much is just Fanchon red. They call it Fanchon red, but it's really Naphthol red. Williamsburg kind of has a tendency to do that with some of their colors. It's really something that already exists. They just call it something else. Hey, Valfera, holy smokes. Well, actually, Valfera, you know what? Before you leave, let's see what this looks like in a quickie film noir. We haven't done one yet. Yeah, see, you don't really necessarily see the lighting all that much. Let me see. I think you can see here. Let's bring back that color real quick. Bam, look at, see? It's all about the color, not so much about the light and dark. It really is not. Well, Luminous, that should be, I think that'll be a nice little start there. Glad that it's not like the Kara Kalila bust. I'll tell you that right now. That would have been a little bit too ginormous at this point, for sure. So War Shadow, nice to see you. I hope that you're having yourself a good Sunday morning, of course. You know what? Here, I'm going to take some of this away. Let me try and get the little more dark around the eye there. Same thing over here. Okay, that helped. So, Luminous, I hope that you weren't woken up by, crazy more, the temperature shifts and everything. But I'm pretty sure that's probably what was happening. Now here, I'm just going to get there. That's a little too much dark. It's alright. Come back in with some of our fluorescent stuff there. And I'm going to come back with the light one more time. I just needed to unify that a little bit. It was a little bit too much light expanding all over the place. Well, thanks so much, Luminous. You have yourself a good one. I don't know if you're going to be printing out any Christmas decor or anything like that. Something really large and something festive. Alright, here, a couple more of these guys. There we are. Yeah, I'll bring out a little bit of my light onto that tree branch especially. Yeah, the Luminous, I'm definitely ready for one of those right now, actually. It has been a long several weeks here. Alright, we're going to get just a little bit of our lighter green there, and then we'll take a blending brush and we'll just drag that down. So, or shadow. I hope that, well, speaking of sleep, you had a decent Saturday night sleep and maybe a Sunday morning / afternoon going really well for you. Yeah, I'm going to let that be more of a shadow there instead of trying to get the reflected light on there. Yeah. And again, we haven't had a chance to do the greenish object source light in a long time, so why not have some fun with it here? Might try to throw a little hint of some of the green light over here. The ironic thing is it's not really going to hit the trunk of this tree because, well, her body's kind of in the way. It's a block in line of sight, so to speak. Put some right along the top here. A little bit along the bottom. Now this is a little lighter. Can you see what we're doing there? I think you can. And we'll throw a little bit now of our lighter green, and maybe even a little bit more. Wow, that's interesting with that little bit of yellow edge. It kind of grayed that down much more than I thought it did. Just some of these are just trying to find a couple little lights there. I'll get where that would be coming down onto that sleeve, wrappings, whatever the heck those things are. Let me see if I can throw some more of this lightest light right here on the hair. Yeah, this is from Dark Sword Miniatures. There you go, Dark Sword Miniatures. Really fabulous stuff. I paint an awful lot of Dark Sword miniatures for the Patreon page. I think we're at Dark Sword 90 or something like that, or 91. That's how many painting Dark Sword videos there are. I just did a basing video for Dark Sword. We did, what, half a dozen Dark Sword figures. And that's on the Patreon page. And typically try to either experiment with either a new paint or try to show off a certain color scheme. There's times where actually I'll take the same miniature, we'll paint it once with the oil paints, and then get another of the same miniature, paint it in the same color scheme, but then paint it in acrylics or vice versa. I've done a few of those. Those are pretty fun videos, actually. Getting a chance to paint the same figure twice with two different materials, but in the same color scheme. And of course, Dark Sword just did the Kathy miniature, which, oh, here it is. And we'll be painting another one of these. This is another Dark Sword video that I'll be doing for the Patreon page. Now, if you do the Army Painter Pledge, you'll also get all the Dark Sword videos. And, well, hundreds more. Just the Army Painting series alone. Let's see, we're on Series 34. There's 5 episodes per every series. You can do the math. There's also at least 100 basing videos now. There's at least a dozen or more terrain videos. That doesn't count all the color theory and oils videos, and of course the chapter studies videos. I think we've got 8 of these already, or 9, where we take on kind of a different legacy Space Marine chapter, and we do a figure showing how you can approach that, whether it's Smurfs or Imperial Fists or White Scars. I think Space Wolves is one of the few that I haven't had a chance to do yet. Now, let me see, can I get the lightest light right here along this edge? Probably have to come back with the phthalo green. Do I want to, maybe we'll make that a little lighter here. Do I want to catch some more light on the hair? I think so. I mean, it is the closest to the original light source. The lighter the hair is, kind of the more the rest of this gets faded down a little bit. So you can see we're trying to make the green not reach the tree too much. Still have to darken down some of those branches, because that's the one thing the birch trees, as you get away from where all that bark is, it's again really easy to peel off. There's a reason why they used birch bark as paper. Again, I've certainly found the value of using birch bark as a painting surface. Now I'm actually going to throw maybe a little bit of the perlene black in here, because this doesn't have quite the darkness. That's what I needed there. Now we have a little bit of a turn, and that's the same thing. Obviously a little bit bigger on this RNS Studios figure, but see that little turn that goes from the orange, passes to the ambient light. That's what we're trying to do here. We don't obviously have quite as much of a surface to navigate there. I'm going to try and I don't want to darken up the hand too much on the back of that. Then we also not only get this darker, but then also kind of sharpen up those lines, because the opaque white, believe it or not, true with the acrylics as well, it just leaves kind of a thicker edge there, and we can kind of come back with these darker colors and sort of take some of that away. We're just trying to sharpen up the lines here on the this gem. Elvie, how you doing? Nice to see you back. So Elvie, we painted some hobbitses last night. So there's Pippin and there's Merry. So it's had these things around forever. We finally had a chance to just paint those real quick last night. Thank you so much, Elvie. Appreciate that. You know what? That also needs to be here a little bit more towards the dark. And not just the phthalo green. Got some of that perlene black in there as well. And here's again another little transition needed there of the darker green. Might just go with, let's see what happens with the indigo right here for some of the eyes. Now, yeah, LV did those guys last night. No one can say we never do hobbitses, right? And it happened pretty darn quick, too. It happened really, really fast. Oh, everything happens nice and fast with the oils. Okay, there we got her looking off kind of this way. Usually don't have the figure just staring right at the viewer. First of all, it kind of makes maybe the viewer a little bit twitchy, having the miniature looking right at him. Plotting various ways that it's going to kill the person who's looking at it. hopefully, I know a lot of people, they're posting pictures of their Osgiliath starter set. So hopefully when that arrives here, we'll be able to just immediately start prepping some things. I also was talking about the some of the Gondalorians in that box to be used for an army painting series. Because we've actually shown people how to do the Gondor miniatures with the TMM, wherever the heck we've got one. Is this one right here? Yeah. So we've already done the TMM Gondor, but we haven't done any videos with these guys and the non-metallic metal. So we'll do that. So War Shadow, I don't know. I know it's a Dark Sword miniature, but I don't know what actually the name of it would be. I'm fairly certain this is one of the very few Dark Sword miniatures that has been digitally sculpted, though. Then I can take a guess at. Yeah, Ovi, you make the viewer awful nervous, don't you? Right, by having the miniature just staring right at him. Now, see here, we're going to take a blending brush, and instead of a whole bunch of layers and everything else, now I'm just going to take that and we're just going to blend it out the easy way. I have no time or energy for the hard way whatsoever. None at all. Now I see we got to do some more of our wee little lines over here. And now I'm going to take something like my blending brush. Let's see, this one. This should do it here. And we'll take some of our Van Dyke brown here. I'll do the dry brush thing over the top of the ends of the branches, because typically with birch tree, the ends of the branches, those are going to be darker. I mean, you can see the reference over there. Now, LV, did you ever? I don't think so. I do have another one of these. Speaking of that new setup, that's where it'll make it a heck of a lot easier to paint this particular beast. This is from Black Heart Models. Holy smokes! This was we painted this one with our oil paints. Yeah, there we go. The Kara Kalila bust. And there were people that just kept expecting for her to open up her eyes. They were closed, right? And they all were afraid that she was gonna open up her eyes and just be looking right at them there. That was that was the very first time I used the fluorescent oils. We actually used a lot of cerulean blue on that, of all things. Now, of course, if I'm going to do that same color scheme again, we'd be using the, for sure, the Sèvres blue. That and Prussian blue, we didn't have the Prussian blue at the time. Oh, LV, man, that's fantastic that you actually got a chance to see that. Remember the proficiency in longbow that I had after that thing? Of course, I also still probably have the scars from when the head was sticking into my hands there. But that was pretty crazy, wasn't it? That was a good 14-ish hours or so of painting on that thing. And of course, LV, I also, I wasn't quite so familiar with how to turn the stream off. And that Twitch is kind of twitchy that way. So I thought the stream was off. That thing, it was streaming for, I guess, an hour or so, with just her staring at the screen with her eyes closed. So that's where I'm hoping that the new streaming area that'll just be built in this room instead of trying to build it in a whole nother place. Hopefully what that's going to do is, facilitate a much easier, instead of having to drill a hole in the ceiling to try and drop a internet line downstairs. Well, we can just keep doing it in this room. Hey, Surface Tension Painting, how you doing? Everybody, please check out Surface Tension Painting on Instas. Yeah, LV with all of, remember the interference colors those should make some really interesting effects on that thing. So instead of the fluorescence necessarily, I'll be able to do something like that with the interference colors. Also, uh, back then the fluorescence, all I had was fluorescent green and fluorescent orange and nothing else. Now we have a whole host of fluorescent colors, pretty much our homemade versions. So I think we'll be able to do some really nifty stuff on her now. Now this one, gonna have to find some ambient lights on the hair, but also I think wanted to go a little bit lighter on the skin tone. Either that or we gotta add more shadows. I guess I'm gonna try the more, when in doubt, make things darker, so I'll do that. Have ourselves some Terra Rosa and some of our Egyptian Violet. Make sure you can see that. Of course, we have the brush held way, way back here. None of this stuff, right? Well, first of all, not even close to getting to the miniature. Now, LV, yeah, that one was, and I think too, instead of having to break that up into two segments, now it would be so much easier to paint that all in one shot. Now I'm going to use this as a micro blending brush. So surface tension, these are the birch trees that I was talking about. Those are from Make It Epic Basing. I haven't tried to mirror them or do anything else. They're just printed out their size with their supports. Did really, really well. So love the birch trees, very fantastic. Again, I have to try and print these out again, but then also mirror them. Now, let me see. I'm going to go with this lighter magenta here, perhaps. Yeah, that's the radiant magenta. We'll throw a little bit of thinner into that. Maybe a little bit more. Don't want to go too much with that, because I think it needs to be almost a bit on the thicker side. But we're looking to do a little bit of ambient light here on the clothes, like so. Maybe over here. Yeah, so the thicker paint works better. I know with the acrylics, everybody's always trying to thin down the paints. But the oils don't necessarily have to do that. You don't want to have a lot of paint on the brush, but it doesn't have to also have a lot of liquid in it either. Remember, with the oils, you can dry brush. You can also just slap some paint on there and then push it around with another brush that has no paint on it. We've done that on this figure already in many areas. One of those was back here. Why? Because it's pretty hard to get the brush back there. So why would I want to be having to paint a whole bunch of layers when I could just slap some paint on there, take another brush, and just mix it together? So much easier. So yeah, recoil, it was so darn simple, right? We did a little bit of the burnt umber, Mars black, you guys, because you were there. Yeah, you saw that. We wiped it away with the sponge, like literally this sponge right here. The brilliant yellow pale dry brush over the top, then hit it with some of the lighter stuff, and then come back in with some of the dark, and poof, birch tree, right? Can't wait to see that with the, maybe a little bit of foliage added to it. Pardon my French right there. See what I did? Yeah, that's, yeah, you don't get that kind of linguistic gold just anywhere. This is another case where we're just going to slap that stuff on there. Find ourselves a blending brush. Nope, that's not the one I'm looking for. I think, well, this one has some paint on it, so we're just, oh, this was what we used for the birch bark. That's right. Yeah, LV, this is very pinky up right here, I guess, as you would say, right? This is very fancy schmancy. Very much a pinky up painting stream. As we take a little bit of tap, tap, tap there. Once again, why make it difficult? right? Just, life is already difficult enough. It lives to make you have to work that much harder. Why not frustrate it and make things easier? Now I think I will. Okay, now that we did the dark in the skin, I'm gonna just try on the the cheek right there. Let me see if I can make that a little lighter here. Potentially some of the more of the brilliant yellow pale and just a touch of that terra rosa. Yeah, look, when my hand is on this brush, this is another way of getting the paint to stick. This here death grip thing, not going to do it. That is not going to work. You need to have a super, super light touch on that brush. And yeah, that's just the right consistency. Any thinner probably wouldn't have stuck. Any thicker would have stuck, but it would have been just a nice big old blob sitting there, which is probably not what we're looking for on a miniature like this. It's just a big old blob on the face. I'm just going to take a guess. That's not what we really want to see. So again, look at there's our skin tone basically mixing in with the green. I'll lighten up the skin tone here a little bit so that it does separate from the color of the clothes. We're back to our blending brush here. Just going to take that. And actually here we're going to kind of push that and spread that around just a smidge. Thank you so much, Arid, for spreading around some bitses. Thank you so much. Everybody please give Arid Can Wife a follow. Thank you so much for the bits. There we go. So Arid, I'm sure that was a well-deserved game night, and I hope that it was, well, not just fun for you, fun for everybody. And of course, those are certainly welcome distractions. So glad that you had a chance to do that again, and hopefully the rest of the Saturday was at least a tolerable day. So that sounds so I played a game called Mosaic. Now, actually, so Arid, when you guys are playing your games, if it's obviously not an RPG type of thing, is it more of the cooperative style games? Because there is something to be said about the cooperative style games. It doesn't quite, well, usually, not always, but it doesn't usually lead to, shall we say, like a game of diplomacy does. It's a board game similar to Civ. Geez, well, Arid, hopefully now were you kind of in and out of there, hopefully very, very quickly. I guess you must have been if you were still able to accomplish game night there. Because yeah, that's no fun doing that. Now, what I maybe go back, yeah, I'm gonna do it. What the heck? I'll take some of our Terra Rosa, mix it with a little bit of our red. That is the not Fanchon red, but the Naphthol red from Gamlin. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I don't believe that Williamsburg has a Naphthol red because it's Fanchon red. Now, that is very much cheaper for sure. Let's see. Oh, so in and out. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that was something that just kind of cropped up, and you went over there to try to figure out what in the world was going on. Hopefully, there's been no unauthorized entries today, or any of the brickwork being disassembled in an unauthorized fashion. Also. A couple more darks. Yeah, you know what? We're going to darken that down some more. And maybe even here. Now, that's just a big old kind of a light green blob there. We have to work on that and soften the edges of that thing. We can still, again, use this as a blending brush here. Just a micro blending brush. So we're going to take that. All we did was we didn't really blend any colors necessarily. We just softened an edge. That, in some ways, that almost kind of qualifies as our brushstroke management, doesn't it? Now, Arid, I know that's a bummer, because I mean, if you can't see them, right, you can't enjoy them, but you also, they're more enjoyable when they're not modular. They're more enjoyable intact. So I guess you just have to choose the mode of enjoyment there. Say, well, we have our choice between seeing it all the time and being all in one piece. As we add, you know what? We're going to cut a couple more darker edges. That's what the perylene black, a smidge of the phthalo green too. This is some of our Egyptian violet there. I'll just keep going. I'm going to bring it up there too. You know what? That needs a cutoff point here. We might need to bring in some of our lighter skin tone over there. Now here again, the skin tone, trying to almost keep it a bit on the darker end of things so that it kind of looks like the green light is casting a shadow on there. Oops. Sorry that I hit the wrong button there. Sorry if I cleared the chat. That wasn't supposed to happen. I just wanted to get back to my image. That's all I was looking to do. Sorry about that. So yeah, it was not an intentional thing. That just, I don't know if it may have made a difference. So yeah, sorry about that. To me, it doesn't look any different. But yeah, I was going to look at my image of the birch trees there, and I went, what the heck is that? That is not what I was supposed to be pressing. So I don't, does it actually look any different? Because like I said, to me it looks exactly the same, like nothing happened. Which means I can declare that nothing happened. I should have just said, well, what do you mean? I didn't do nothing. It wasn't me. Now somehow we got to get some of our lighter, a little bit lighter skin tone in there. We're also going to say thank you so much, Gothmog, making an appearance there. Now, actually, Gothmog, you're not that far away. I think. Well, let's see. When Armored Wolf gets back, I think in a few days, Gothmog will be headed this way. So, Gothmog, you'll see Gothmog on this very screen. Now, I'm not sure if it would be the mounted version first or the infantry version first, but Gothmog will be here. Yeah, and unfortunately, which is funny because the moderator is actually technically closer to me. He's now in the continental United States. But he is not in chat. So I had to... Oh, you blame it on the dog. That's right. There's a weird smell or a sound or something like that. You usually can blame the dog. But here, mostly everybody just blames me whenever there's a weird smell or sound, and or both at the same time. As we add a little bit more of a... This is that radiant blue. It's one of our Gamlin colors. Oh boy. Let's not go too light on this. Because once again, our ambient light, if it's too light, well, we're just not really going to have much of a lighting effect, are we? So yeah, I tried to blame the garbage on the floor with the ripped up garbage can and all the half-eaten rotten food and all that kind of stuff. I tried to blame that on the dog, which is tricky since we don't have a dog. So yeah, that didn't work quite so well. You would think you could just blame everything on the dog, but when you don't have one, it's a little bit more difficult. Hey there, Danny M. Nice to see you back. So arid. Hopefully no one fed. Oh, what was? Oh yeah, a celery. That's right. For some reason, celery led to a bit of a musical type of sounds underneath the table there. Now, of course, we do have several of the stuffed animal dogs. Well, of course, there's always Sambo, which is a Squishmallow, which, ironically enough, has the same birthday as I do. I didn't know that Squishmallows had birthdays, but we looked at that, and sure enough, it's the same birthday as me. And, of course, the Squishmallow dogs, they don't sleep on you, you sleep on them. And, of course, you don't really have to feed them very much. You also don't have to take them outside to do that call of nature. Now here we need to get another color on this tree here because we don't want it to be too similar to our birch bark tree. The broccoli. Actually, well, someone was kind enough to get us some Chinese food and have it sent this way, and pretty much every single part of the dishes had broccoli in there. So again, that's where blaming it on the dog was that was attempted but not accomplished. So Danny, I hope that you're having yourself a really nifty Saturday. You know what? Here, let's do this. We haven't really done any of that. A little bit of the, I almost said brilliant yellow pale. That's a little bit of the radiant yellow from Gamlin. That's what I got to use, is some of the radiant lemon. Remember for a while there, I wasn't able to get my hands on the brilliant yellow pale, so we used the radiant lemon as a substitute. It's definitely not the same thing. It is different. Ooh, you know what? I'm actually going to throw a little touch of this kind of reddish brown out here on the ends of these things. So yeah, for whatever reason, again, yeah, it's less convincing when you try and blame certain things on a Squishmallow dog as opposed to an actual live dog. So I know for some folks in the chat, I think for Gothmog it might actually be a Sunday afternoon by now. It's 1:29 here, so it has to be at least afternoon there in most places where Gothmog lives. Now, of course, everyone is Gothmog, so Gothmog can live anywhere and everywhere all at the same time. I'm going to take this same kind of a yellowish color here. We're going to throw just a smidge of it into our birch bark. Just a couple of places, not too much. That's just something that I remember having, again, way more experience with birch bark than I ever thought I would have. Knowing the ins and outs of birch bark and just how paintable it is. Hey, Real Brush Guy, nice to see ya. Well, happy Sunday morning to you. And of course, Brush Guy, if you want to post some of the busts that you were painting there in the chat, that would be very cool. So, Brush Guy, we're having some fun with the 3D printed birch trees. Of course, this is really going to be fun because, wow, we got some beaucoup amounts of the birch trees right here for the Kathy and Jiro miniature. Some 3D printed bits from Make It Epic. Really amazing stuff. You know, we'll just try and throw a little bit of this down here. It will get the usual flock and foliage and such, like we did here. So again, recoil, of course, again, the difference, right, between, and this looked just like that, even less paint. There was seriously less shading on this and different colors than we already have on this thing. Rio Brush Guy, there's so many more that I've printed a lot of the Egyptian ones. And of course, their undead stuff was really snazzy as well. Now, let me. So of course, we've done a lot of their plants. I think we've done. Oh, we just did. Oh, palm trees, and palm plants. Now, what I'm going to try and do is print them out really, really, really tiny, and I want to make some islands for Armada. So some atolls. There's some plastic. Well, hopefully it's plastic art, at least in the way I understand plastic art that I used to have back in the day. Now there's some sheets of that coming here, and hopefully I can do some tutorial videos on making some islands for Armada. I think that would be really fun, and especially with the some sand, and then of course all of the 3D printed palm trees. Yeah, recoil. It can be weird sometimes as you're painting, and you go, oh, you know what? Have to remember all the flora and fauna that's going to go here. And now it's not just the grass tufts; it's also all of that really nifty, some of the stuff from Woodland Scenics, the ground cover, and then some of the flock that we use from, say, Green Stuff World and Woodland Scenics. Now, these are some new things that I actually haven't had a chance to try. We'll try some of this on some of our basing. These need to be mixed together. No way we're going to be using that straight up, that's for sure. So, Arid, check this out. The object source lighting is pretty much going to disappear. It's really not about the light and dark. I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit, but it doesn't really look like it has any object source lighting at all, does it? It's all about the color, especially when you see it from here. It's that crazy green color that really does it. Because what do we use here? We got the Terra Rosa skin tones, opposite of the green, and then we've got this violet here, which has the radiant magenta for highlights, also opposite of that green. So opposites can do lots of work. Grand Oracle, it's so funny. We just don't get anything on any of those. I guess we need to, right, Grand Oracle? How many times, oh, like these brushes, right? How many times did these things sell out? Yeah, or the Williamsburg, it's like, oh, why is there no Brilliant Yellow Pale? Oh, it's because I told everybody to get it. So I think we're definitely deserving of some of those. Don't you think they're Grand Oracle? For sure. Oh, thank you so much, Dozy. I gotta tell you, these birch trees, these printed birch trees, oh, they are a blast. And I'm not sure if you heard what I was just talking about printing out the palm trees much smaller. Oh, there's another place I can use the palm trees, I just realized. The Lost Kingdoms, well, basically Tomb Kings. I'm going to try and make some build plates of those tomorrow. We're going to try and get those suckers printed out. I guess we'll try and do an army painting series with them. They won't be the easiest things to ship, that's for sure, but we'll give that a try. Because Tomb Kings, right? And of course, we haven't seen our Tomb Kings in just a bit. This was a little side project in 2014 that was actually my last fantasy army. Because about, I don't know, a week or two after I finished these guys and did them in a tournament, then they destroyed Warhammer and it did Age of Sigmar instead. So there they are. That's the board. That's not the whole army, actually. It was the first use of the fluorescent paints. Mass usage of the fluorescent paints, tons of scratch sculpting and all kinds of conversions there. Same thing, that the whole Howdah thing, that is not the way that thing comes. I actually made that Howdah myself. Everything up here, scratch sculpted. Let's see, the Hierotitan on the left, the Colossus on the right, the birdies there on the right, the Sphinxes, Screaming Skull catapult. So yeah, and of course those are all carved bases. And that whole back wall there tells the story of the Silver Pharaoh and how those Tomb Kings came to be looking like that. So that was, again, that was our last fantasy army. Now we'll see. Who knows? Maybe when they go back to square basing, they have a Tomb King army that's playable, and also maybe some Tomb King's miniatures that the original pharaohs weren't using in Warhammer. Because yeah, that the old Tomb Kings were very much first dynasty. Yeah, I think it was long before the Hyksos messed with Egypt and took down the original dynasty. So thank you so much, Real Brush Guy, and well, Kathy started to feel better tonight. Where I don't know, it could be a combination of the well, by day 11 or 12, there usually is an improvement. There's a new medicine to help with the neuropathy, where except my brother said that could take a week or two, at least a week, to really kick in. Now, here we're going to do some of the brightest highlights here, because that's why I came in here with that yellowish brown. Now, let's see what this will do here. I think this is our fast matte white. Got it thinned down, and what I'm looking to do is right about here. See that? One little boom right there. That's it. Now, if you want to have light, you got to have some dark, or at least some mid-tone. Is that going to have to be a new chapter in the Book of Wapo right there? You have to at least have some dark or just some mid-tone. But there, we're trying to do a little bit of dimensionality to there we go. See, that gives it a little bit of dimension. Like that bark is peeling away, especially since they literally have peeled away birch bark right there. Alright, so everybody please check out Real Brush Guy's Dwarf Busts. And of course, Doji, I know you probably posted your link earlier there, but if you wanted to post your link again, and Surface Tension, not sure if you had a chance to post your links too. We just have some more folks in the chat, more eyeballs to look at it. So yeah, Doji, if you wanted to post yours again, that would be fabulous. And of course, Arid, if you wanted to post your jewelry again, now that there's some more folks. And everybody also please give Arid Can Wife that follow. That's more like, there we go. And if we can please check out Arid Can Wife's artwork, because that would be fabulous. Now, let me look. Okay, that's not it. I'm going to look. Let me see. Who was it that we got that from? Oh, it's from here. Baron of Dice. That's it. So, Baron of Dice, if you're looking for less expensive dice that, well, could match several armies, like Schmage of Schmigmar, or Middle-earth Schmadagy Schmaddle Game, or Schmorty K, or any of those game systems for Schmeish Marines, Baron of Dice may or may not have some suitable dice for your faction. With the Eldfall Chronicles, that's it. Yeah, those were really, really fantastic. That's your Discord. Oh, it's an Instagram link. I just remember, I think, seeing those on the Instas. So yeah, Danny, I'm painting your prototypical white birch tree. And again, really looking forward to recovering the birch bark that's downstairs that, again, Kathy's family harvested from their cabin up north in Minnesota. And we'll paint some, maybe some wildlife on there or whatever. Who knows, maybe we do some Lord of the Rings painting on it. But yeah, all the 3D printed birch tree. So again, check out, what is it called again? Baron of Dice. I think he might even have some bolt action dice, but Dice of War, that was my favorite. Love the Dice of War. He's actually based in Australia. I think he's a Queenslander. Again, I can't say 100%, but pretty sure he's a Queenslander. Alright, there we go. A couple more lights up here. Thank you so much, Manifest. I appreciate that. Hello, little hobbits. I Spark my ganja. Wait a minute. What show is this here? Is this the Amazon show where everybody's a wizard, or what's going on here? It's like, dude, I think you're in the wrong universe. He's like, that's a nice birch tree there. Hey, should we use some of those to actually make... Oh, what the heck? Who was... not Quake Beam. What is one of the other tree... Because didn't GW make a tree man that was a birch tree man? I swear they did. Wait. Oh, geez, Grand Oracle. Thank you so much. Well, Grand Oracle, I'll send you the links again, if you don't mind. I know you've probably seen a whole bunch of them already, but I'll send you the links again. This way you got them all in one place. It's always nice to do that, and thank you so much. And of course, well, there'll be some Army of the Dead coming your way. And of course, like I said, I think you heard me talking last night about the merfolk from either and or. We might do both. We might actually combine. Who knows? Maybe the merfolk from Titan Forge and the merfolk from Artisan Guild. That would be interesting to use miniatures from two different companies in the same army painting series. So Doshi said, it's that time again. It is that time. I know that Green Fairy was accidentally having to go get something that just happened to be right by the art store. Oh, it was something with the vehicle. That's right. And all of a sudden, it's like there's something wrong with the vehicle every single day or every other day, so that it can go to the art store. But thank you so much, Grand Oracle. Appreciate that. And now sometimes I also like to have a couple of figures to send in the box so that I can do my box within a box construction. So don't be surprised if we wait till I have a couple of figures to get in that box there to make it nice and strong. So Real Brush Guy says to never smoke the birch tree. I wonder, actually, Brush Guy, just based on how the bark is, painting it wise, I mean, I don't want it's a tree, it doesn't have plastic in it, but I'm wondering, I could see that a birch tree might burn a little bit funky. Well, see, that's just a caring dad right there. The son needs new brushes for school, and you throw in a couple of other little items for free shipping. That's being a responsible dad, a fiscally responsible dad. I think there's probably some other things they might need for school, maybe next year or the year after that or 2 years from now. Maybe you could also get a head start on that. Just call it thinking ahead. So Real Brush Guy, again, boy, I don't think I have any on the blog, but I've actually done several paintings on birch bark. And believe it or not, I know it's going to sound crazy, but texture-wise, it's not all that different from this. Now, of course, there's going to be those little striations in it, and you do have to kind of peel it back a few layers before you get to the softer stuff. But it's not all that different than this hot press illustration board. Now, of course, this hot press illustration board doesn't want to curl back into a tree shape. Minor detail. So yeah, Grand Oracle, that, you know what, now that I'm talking about that, I'm liking the idea more and more as I add some more yellow here. This is just a straight up radiant yellow. I'm liking the idea of combining both the Artisan Guild and the Titan Forge Merfolk. Now, speaking of Make It Epic and different basing bits, I've printed out a bunch of the sea stuff, but I might actually get more of the sea critters and more of the corals. Because just like we were talking last night with the interference colors, I think that could be very interesting. So yeah, we might... do our first ever combo army painting series where we do a couple of different companies for one army. Oh, that's so yeah, Doji. Just because they're good for 2D doesn't mean they can't be used for miniatures. Accidentally, if some of that paint should accidentally spill onto one of your miniatures, or 2 or 10, what's the harm in that? Actually, though, that's just a little reference to a joke from back when we would house sit people's cats, and they would they'd have all these unpainted miniatures around, and sometimes I would spill paint on one of their miniatures, and they would say, "Why are these 3 or 4 miniatures painted?" And I'd say, "Oh, sorry, I spilled some paint on them." That the cats knocked it over, and I actually put some paint on there. Which, yeah, that was the oh, they had 5 cats at one time. That's right. And the cats were never happy when we left. They didn't even like me packing up the miniature painting stuff, so I had to like do it super stealthy. I would have to pack up a few things here and there so that they didn't notice there was a substantially different number of things on the work table. But they could sense. They said, "Wait a minute, there used to be more stuff on this table. You are fixin' to leave, aren't you?" Now, here, let's get a little bit more of that Terra Rosa right there. Grand Oracle. Shadow boxes. That worked well. The shadow boxes, yes, and using some really strong double-sided tape and shadow box. That was pretty much the only way. Actually, speaking of dogs, our old dog, I did do a painting of that dog on birch bark, and that's actually in a shadow box. That's what made me think of it. So Doji, actually, Doji, do you have any Instagram pictures of the painting? Because I'm pretty sure you showed me the pictures of that, right? Didn't you post that in the Discord? If you want to show that off, do the proud dad thing. I think you should do that. Because, I mean, how many months ago was that? Was that 3-ish months ago? Sorry if I'm spacing on that. Now, let me see. I'm going to try and get a couple more strong darks here on that crazy gem or whatever that is. Crystal. I guess it's more of a crystal than a gem. Now, let me see if I can come back with my fast matte white and really do some kind of a sharper edge on this thing here. It's right here. Yeah, we did need to do that. I thought so. Oh, and there's I never did this edge. How in the world did I totally skip that one? Oh well. Well, now we got it. Got another edge over here, another edge over there. Here an edge, there an edge. Now the one interesting thing about the birch bark is when you start to peel that stuff, it's all these other layers of the birch bark also want to come with that. Let's just put it this way. It can be a little frustrating preparing that birch bark for painting. And of course, you want to save some of this stuff, right? Like all the little cuts and everything there. So there's times where you really have to plan your painting around that. There you go. So there's the Discord again. That's the that birthday present. I remember that was really well received, if I remember that correctly. That was very, very well received. And that was an amazing accomplishment there. You can never start them out too early. I first started using oil paints tactically when I was 12, but really 13. So yeah, definitely never too early to get them started. Now, there may be some frustration involved for him, especially if there's not been a whole bunch of formal education to go with that, and maybe things like some of those painting principles that we use through all the time. You're usually not just going to be doing those right out of the gate. So there will be a little bit of frustration involved for the youngsters. Oh, you did the writing as Merlin, just was 6 and not in school then. Here, let's do that. All right, a little bit of a light there, and now, well, tree branch is in the way. We have to work around that tree branch. You know what? This thing, I'm pretty sure we have to divide that into a facet, just like over here. And it's the same kind of stuff we did here. See all those crystals? It's the same thing I'm trying to do with this crystal right here. So again, I think Luminous was saying this is March of 2021. I'm going to see if I can't locate those files and maybe print some of those. And we could do some really fun stuff with some ice effects, right, with our heavy gloss gel. Well, that's fantastic, Grand Oracle. Actually, well, Grand Oracle, speaking of which, if there was any kind of things you wanted to post in the chat there, stuff that you've painted with the oils, if it's Facebook, Discord, Insta, or in the case of Arid, a Pinstagram. So far, Arid is the only Pinstagram user. We need to expand that particular social media platform if we're going to make any money on that. Here's another. Maybe not just the white. Here, let's get some of our. That's not really too much of the phthalo green in that. Mostly just the fluorescent green. And again, that was the stuff that where we mixed our own with the fluorescent powders. And Grand Oracle, the crazy thing is that if you try and buy, well, let me see if I can dig it out here. Here it is. So, I mean, this is a big tube. It's 55 mil, but this is about $15, $16, and you can't get it outside the US, basically. This is super translucent. This stuff made with the powders is incredibly opaque. It just, go figure, right? And it also dries a heck of a lot faster. And I mean like significantly faster. Oh, we need to check with Rob Partha Legacy. Oh, geez, Grand Oracle, that's so funny because we were talking, well, let's see, Mithril miniatures, obviously kind of associated with, was it White? Who did the, because kind of an offshoot of Rel Partha, right? Why am I spacing on that? Well, it's no wonder. So yeah, Grand Oracle, the powders, you can kind of get those anywhere. Well, remember I was showing the interference colors from Williamsburg, and they're what, a Series 4 or Series 5, which, well, that's going to be a little bit painful on the pocketbook there. Just being able to take the powders and do that, super helpful. Very, very helpful. Now, let me see here. This has had a chance to set a little bit more on the face. I would really like to just get a bit more light right there. See, that's still a bit of a hard edge. Let me see if I can use this brush as a micro blending brush. I'm gonna have to take more paint off of that brush though. And there, we'll take the existing. In some ways, it's a little bit like our our brushstroke management phase. Now this could be, wow, that really got, that's all kinds of dark paint left on the brush there. Now, I want to try and catch the edge of the close right there. So again, it tends to be, when you got the lighter colors like this, you get kind of a heavier application. Well, no big deal. Gonna go over here to the Egyptian violet, which will not be quite so heavy since it's a darker color, and those tend to be pretty darn thin. So we can, it's almost like a chisel. We just kind of carved away some of that lighter color. Thunderbolt Mountain, yes. Actually, Grand Oracle, way back in the day, early 2000s, we had to paint a few of the Thunderbolt Mountain. They were sort of like Arthurian type figures. They were tiny. I mean, they made Lord of the Rings scale figures look colossal by compare. They made them look like Conquest miniatures by comparison. Now, what is our one? That's not this one. So, phthalo green, Egyptian violet. Look at that. See, that's two very different uses, or two different type of figures, but the same kind of color combo there. The phthalo green and the Egyptian violet, same thing over here. There we wanted to have some wild foliage differences. Here, right, we wanted to have the differences with our object source lighting. And thank you so much, Ashushu. Appreciate that. Hello, little hobbits. He's like, what are you going to do with that kitchen knife right there? He's like, well, I was going to fight a Balrog, but it's around Thanksgiving time. Yes, Middle Earth has Thanksgiving, except it's in like February for some reason. So you're going to be really tasty. It's like, that eagle's looking for you. It's like, ooh, I'm out. Thank you so much, Ashushu, for that follow. Appreciate that. So because I know that actually Grand Oracle Kathy painted, I think 3 or 4 of those. I know I painted a couple of the Cav. A huge surprise that I painted some Cav. But this was somewhere back in 2003, 2004 maybe. There we go. That is what we needed. That needed to be darker. Thunderbolt Mountain. Boy, that was another name that I just couldn't quite spit out there. It's not doing good with the brain stuff. I need to lighten up the fingers more. I'm going to wait until I see what happens here. So we do have some dark right there. This transition of the skin tone. I'm going to go back over here to the... that tarot says that. Okay, good. There we go. Needed to be just a little smidge darker there. Grand Oracle, I've always kind of liked just the figures themselves, but I think it does go back to the days of riding horses. Used to ride horses all the time. Maybe that's why there's quite the cavalry obsession that we have. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know. Maybe that's where it comes from. There's a lot of years spent riding horses in pretty much every type of weather. Now, riding horses when it's about minus 10 degrees outside, and that would be Fahrenheit, not Celsius, that was a little bit less spectacular, I have to say. The horses probably weren't super big fans of it either. That was not a long ride at all. All right, there we go. Now we got a little separation down. I was looking at that going, there's not much of anything happening there. Now we'll bring this back as a blending brush. We talked about how it can be really tough to get down in and do a bunch of layers. Don't have to. Can take the blending brush, do that. Now here on this shoe, boot, whatever, I think we need to get some kind of green down here. Something like so. Actually, Grand Oracle, it's either the Artisan Guild stuff or the, I think both, Titan Forge. And it's going to be a little bit different cavalry because, well, we got, the seahorses. So it's going to be quite a different type of cavalry for us. I think that was another reason I wanted to do the whole merfolk thing. And we'll definitely have to print up a whole bunch of snails and clams and lobsters and stuff, and just be quite the underwater zoo. It'll be like an aquarium. Oh yeah, yeah, Grand Oracle, definitely. That would be fantastic. Oh yeah, let's throw a little bit more of our lighter green in here. So definitely pop that in there. Reaper miniatures. That was some of the very first like miniatures way back when we first started. Keltos was also another one. Now, speaking of Keltos, I still actually have those. Those old Keltos figures. I have to get some of those prepped so we can paint some on stream. And then we can do some very nifty tartan patterns on them. That is something that I haven't had a chance to do in oils yet. Now, of course, these are some from Medberry right here. You can see I already started doing some of the tattoo stuff, but it'd be fun to do the tartan pattern on them on some streams. Oh, that's right. I also have some anchors. I better save some of those for that army painting series from what, Goon Master Games, I think it's called. Lighten up. Yeah, I think. Did Make It Epic also do some fish? I could swear they also did fish. Well, I guess Gothmog. I guess Gothmog's country. We might have to buy some fish or some more of those Make It Epic aquatic themed basing bits then, courtesy of Gothmog. So thank you so much. And everybody, please check out Grand Oracle's link there. Oh yeah, we can definitely lighten that up a smidge here. Some of our green. Oh, and by the way, this is a 2.5 hours. That's it. Doesn't have to take a long time, does it? Let's see if I can find some lights here on the underside of these. There we go. Catch some of that over here. We're not really going to necessarily see it from the front, but back there you can start to see some of it. Very cool. Here, let me put some. I don't really have anything on this branch. I'm gonna, again, not a super light green. Can only go so far because literally her head blocks the light from hitting any more of that tree there. So, however, I needed to wait. Patient. Don't be a hasty little hobbit. Because if we're hasty little hobbits, that paint's just not going to stick there. We have to be patient. We have to give it a chance to set. Sometimes some paints will take longer than others. Well, something like a Terra Rosa or even the Radiance, they just don't take quite so long. Things like reds, violets, those can take significantly longer. Phthalo colors, for whatever reason, those also can take a while to set. As far as your homemade fluorescent stuff, depending on how much linseed oil you've got in there, that could take a little bit longer. Sometimes, well, again, you just kind of want to shake those up every so often. You don't want to just kind of try and take them out of the jar. You want to definitely try and shake them up a little bit. Okay, that's that little bit of lighter green we were looking to have on the corner of the eye. And then here we got to that one strand of hair. Okay, now that really builds up our shadow on the face there. Hey, Arctic turtle, nice to see you back. Man, so Arctic turtle getting a chance to paint up our birch tree there. Also, huge surprise, object source slating on the channel. Wow, when's the last time that ever happened? I don't know, maybe a couple days ago. Yeah, object source slating. Who'da thunk it? Especially a place like this. Now here's another place I'm going to try and get some of my lighter green, but more of a mid-tone here. We're going to back off here, not quite so light. Now that I've got my darks in here, it'd be much easier to bring in these lights. Just a couple of spots here, maybe even a little back there. There's not the body to block it. Like that's what's happening over here, right? That's getting blocked from the tree. Maybe, nah, it's too much. Too much. We're going to tone that down. So Arctic turtle, nice to see you again. We are using some of our homemade fluorescent paint. That's our green here. Where's our jar? There we go. So again, taking the powder, the linseed oil, mixing them together, and poof, there you got oil paint. I do kind of recommend these things because they're usually more airtight, and I know some people say they're just squeezing them on it like this. That's kind of the linseed oil reaction that's happening in there. And also, well, they tend to not spill because, well, it's really no fun to have nail polish spill. I know Kathy had that happen to her, and that was a few days of very fumigating rubbing alcohol. That's yeah, that's this is the Gothmog crystal. This is Gothmogia, right there, the sorceress. Yeah, so everyone is Gothmog. That's the other thing I need to do. Just carry that down. That was looking a little weird. That just kind of ended where the hand was. Now, speaking of this, I think we need to get the knuckles on the back of her hand somehow. So thank you so much there, Arctic Turtle. Well, we will be, now that I've got that walrus printed out, so where the heck is he? Oh, I need to print out these as well. I don't remember the heck when those were, but, oh, that's not that. There they are. So I printed out, this is Wally the walrus right there. If you remember, speaking of fish, he had it was the best new ale. What was it called? Oh, a scale ale. That's right, yes. It had a little bit of a fishy taste to it. You kind of had to get past the fishy taste, but that was a hugely popular ale. Kind of a microbrewery type thing. Now, it was Wally the Walrus. Very original name, of course. Oh, Layson has returned. Layson, how the heck are you doing? Thanks so much for the raid. Look at this. We have, huge surprise, some object source slating on the channel here. And we get to do those birch tree basing bits. Look at that. Really fun to paint these things up. 2 hours, 38 minutes ago, this was just primer. The same primer as this. So it went from this basically to this in 2 hours, 38 minutes. Everybody please give Layson Paints a follow. And just like last night, Layson, if you wanted to post anything in the chat there, if you have any pictures from your session last night or, well, tonight, you want to post those, that would be fantastic. So again, doing a little bit of our green object source lighting this time. We do a lot of our orangey object source lighting. And we've also got some magenta object source lighting that we've done, all with the homemade fluorescent oil paints. And oh, here's our blue. There we go. There's your the fluorescent blue, lots of Prussian blue in there. Oh, now we have the radiance. wonder what radiant turquoise might do there. Now we're gonna again continue with our homemade fluorescent oil paints. Basically take the powder here, mix it with linseed oil. You got yourself oil paints. You could do that with weathering powders, metallic powders, interference powders, the whole gamut. All those things. So, Lacey, thank you again, as always, for the rate. Really appreciate that. Appreciate all the folks that are kind enough to share their audiences with us and our insanity here. This is going to change a smidge. I'm looking at this. This should probably catch just a smidge of this green right here. Not all the way, just down here on the ends, maybe. Like so. Now, where's my blending brush? There's a blending brush. We're just going to take that, and again, we'll tap, 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 soften that up. Here's what we painted on stream last night. That was Merry and Pippin. About 4 hours, 15 minutes for these two start to finish, including the marble, all the good stuff's there. And we did some texture on their cloaks, on their elven cloaks. So, been waiting a while to paint up these guys. Now they're all good to go. This is actually a dark sword miniature right here. There you go, dark sword miniatures. Here's another little example of a dark sword miniature. That's the one I'm looking for. And more basing bits. What was this? 8 basing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 basing bits and a dark sword figure. All on a base bulletin board, cork, tile grout. Yes, instead of the usual texture paste. Yep, so listen, we take, again, it doesn't have to be the Green Stuff World fluorescent powders, but you could take a fluorescent powder, you mix it with linseed oil, and you've got yourself a fluorescent oil paint. Same thing could go for interference powders, or like this right here, we took this, mixed it with linseed oil, bam, we had very fine oil paint, but also a metal color. Now, do I want to do any more of our green down here? A smidge more, maybe. What the heck? Let's see what happens with this. And again, using some of that fluorescent green, which in this case was mixed in one of these containers here, because look, we can get at that stuff fairly easily. As always, when you're mixing up your paints and such, you're going to want to have as many agitators as you can in there. So I basically take all these bits of metal. I have enough pewter here probably to run my own miniature line, but I'll take these pieces here and I'll use those as agitators, even when I'm just making up my own homemade primer colors and that sort of thing. So again, listen, if you wanted to post any links in the chat, stuff that you've been painting, well, that would be fabulous. There we go. There's a little touch of the green right there, and maybe a smidge more out here. Again, there's going to be all kinds of foliage there. That's the nice thing about the oils too. If you're going to paint static grass or grass tufts or whatever with it, it doesn't quite mess it up the way any kind of a water-based paint would, because, well, it's oil, right? So it's not going to basically make your static grass all kind of soggy and somewhat limp. Nobody wants limp static grass. Get a little touch of maybe some of that out here on our birch bark. Not a ton, just a little bit. Again, the 3D printed basing bits here from Make It Epic. You used to just take regular tree branches and that sort of thing, and the dried foliage from, say, Michael's or one of those kind of craft/art stores. But unfortunately, they just kind of cut down most of the tree types that had some really good branches and stuff for us to use. So we had to kind of give up on that, sadly. And well, now we got the 3D printed stuff, so we have all scales available. Here we're going to get a little more. Yeah, we're going to have to bring in a couple more of our little light slashes here. Something like that. Well, you have a good one there, Doji. Oh, I have not. Well, gotta head out to that art and craft market. You gotta get the stuffs, right, Doji? Get the stuffs. Have fun with the stuffs. And thanks so much for being here, as always. Really appreciate it. What are we doing down here?
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun.
We're gonna welcome ourselves another new little hobbit. That would be Nerd Gun Painting. Thank you so much. She's like, dude, I think you're on fire there. He's like, no, 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 that's off-camera light sourcing. You're on-camera light sourcing. He says, no, it's a staff. She's like, lady, look, I understand it's a staff. Yes, it's on camera. It's like, oh, you mean the lighting is not on camera? Okay. Well, we did that for a few armies here. First, we did it on our Moria army. Again, kind of the Balrog, the whole Moria thing, right? And we continue that. Where's our dwarves here? Where did our dwarves go? There they are. So once again, that same kind of off-camera light sourcing. We also did that on our fellowship, which is why you saw Gandalf like that. And of course, well, here's some more of our Moria army there again. That's the kind of that off-camera light reflecting, whereas, say, something like here, this guy, you can see the light source right there on the actual figure. So a little bit different there, a little different approach. Oh, thanks, MTellies, and like MTellies says, check out licensed stuff and the 15mm Vampire Army. And no, check out them on Instagram. So MTellies already checked that out. If everybody else could please check out Lason's link. So thanks, MTellies, for offering those kind words for Lason. A little bit more of that light over here too. Just a touch more. It's a kind of a balance of the ambient light and then of course the object source light over there. So Nerd Gun, I hope that you're doing well. And of course it's so fun for armies, right? Here's my Dunlending army. All has that same kind of setting Moria or setting Rohan aflame. There we go. Where are they at? There's our Rohan building right there again. Object source lighting with the oils. And there's our Dunlendings. There you go. Setting fire to Rohan. We made those buildings on stream, by the way. Where the heck is our? There it is. It kind of started out like that. I don't know, about 4.5 hours or so with the oils. Bam. That's what we ended up with. I think one of those is actually on my YouTube channel as well. Love us some terrain. Actually, I have a whole bunch more Rohan terrain that we made on stream. Not everything will be set on fire. not every single building will be aflame. Yeah, Nerd Gun. I mean, there's just, well, and here too, it just adds a lot of drama to that, right? A couple of 3D printed bits, and poof, you got yourself some candlelight there. Or, well, something like this. Here's your off-camera light sourcing again. Just makes a little bit more interesting, like you say. And yeah, those Dunlending sculpts and those Oathmark. Well, basically, I'm using it as Warg Riders. Not necessarily the most spectacular sculpts in the world, but like you said, you can really add a lot of juice to them with that. Oh, where's our, this was that other army painting series, some Song of Ice and Fire. There we go. So that was multi-basing, but, I mean, they all got their flaming swords, walking right through a flaming building, because, reasons. Okay, it was just kind of fun to be able to do something like that. Yeah, Nerd Gun. Actually, hey, Nerd Gun, if you wanted to share some of that in the chat, there's some Instas or, as we like to say, Pinstagram pictures. You want to share any of those? It took a little while to try and convince people that, yes, you do an army and object source lighting, it will actually take less time. Because just like here, oh, and where's our... Well, it'll take me a little while to get to them there, but that would be the... Oh, but there we go, the pyromancers. So we get a little bit of object source loading, adds just a little something there. Otherwise, that would be kind of a bland-ish thing. But you have the object source lighting added in there. It makes them look a little spiffier. It's a highly technical term right there. Because now instead of having to maybe paint a whole bunch of colors in a place, all it is just shades of green now. And it's the same exact shades of green on every figure. I wonder if they're ever going to redo the pyromancers. They've been redoing some of the oldest units for Song of Ice and Fire. So nerd gun painting, master of airbrush. So again, everybody, please give Layson Paints a follow, but also please check out Nerd Gun Painting and check out that link as we welcome in Tea Kettle. How you doing, Tea Kettle? Nice to see you again. I hope that your Sunday is off to a really good start. It's 2:22 here on a Sunday morning. And of course, a huge surprise, Tea Kettle, we're doing object source lighting. But check out the birch tree. Absolutely love these things. I knew it would be fun to paint them. It's just now that we're actually getting a chance to do it, man, that is really fun. So glad that you're doing well there, Tea Kettle. You know what we need to do? A couple more of these little bits of our dark lines through some of our bark here. So Tea Kettle, just like I was talking last night, I have to locate that birch bark down in the basement, and I think like Sarge was saying, asking if I steam it. Since that stuff is so old, might be kind of dried out. I might steam that to actually lay it flat. Either that or I don't know if I want to soak it in water, but we might subject it to some steam and then try and flatten it out that way so that it doesn't just snap on us. Thanks, Tea Kettle. Yeah, this can't wait to do a bunch more of these. Also, I was thinking about, maybe doing a little project where we print these out much bigger, and then we maybe try and work these things together to make a much larger tree out of them, instead of trying to print one of these things really huge and having a unnaturally thick birch bark trunk, because they really aren't all that thick. Now here I can. No, that's actually blocked from our green. We'll do a compromise here. It's got a little bit of gray in it. And I'm going to continue some of this right here. Not a bunch, but just enough. There we go. Again, the head is right there and the body, so that's more of an ambient light, really. And it's not white, it's a light gray. Basically taking our fluorescent green and mixing that with our Van Dyke brown. So actually, Tea Kettle, you mentioned bonsai tree. This is the one right here. So they do these juniper trees, and it kind of sort of looks a little bit like a bonsai tree in a way, doesn't it? I haven't actually put foliage on one of these yet. Actually, now that you mention it, Tea Kettle, I should try and print some of these a little bit larger and see if we can't almost do sort of a bonsai tree look for it. That could be also another interesting little project, a diorama of some type. There's plenty of, between Titan Forge and Lost Kingdom, I think we have a lot of Oriental theme. I think that could be really fun. Now, what I'm actually going to do here is just try and get some of our black primer on this just to make sure we don't need to really go any darker with our base. We're going to be going lighter, but with our foliage, our flock, and static grass. So I'm just going to get some of my primer out here. Hey there, Monologue, and how you doing? Look, somebody else for you to follow. Follow YGM Monologuing. So Monologuing, I hope that you're doing well. Well, that was way more than we needed, but here, let's get it going anyways. Now I'm going to grab just this right here. Just yeah, we actually we got pretty darn dark. The oils are really good at doing that. So Tony, if you got any new fun pictures that you might want to post or anything in the chat, or well, older ones, they don't have to be brand new. If you have some older stuff you want to post in the chat, that would be fabulous too. Again, dark sword miniatures. There we. That's it. That's actually a little bit lighter than I thought. Again, we're going to be using a lot of foliage on that. Well, I'm glad that I know that that was something that was you were looking to get back to last time we talked. So glad that you were able to get back to that. And of course, having a blast here again, painting these 3D printed birch trees. Man, they're fabulous. So yeah, tea kettle. Now of course I'm kind of limited. I only have the Sonic Mini 4K right now. We don't have the bigger printer set up. Really hoping at some point to have that going. And everybody please check out the Insta link there, again from YGM Monologuing. And then also please give them a follow too. Now this is the indigo mixed with a little bit of our radiant blue. I need to go, well maybe not that much radiant blue, but a little more here for some ambient light right on the hair. And again, see, we're holding the brush back here. It's going to be very, see again, I can't even get to it, right, unless our hand is way back here on the brush. So again, everybody please check out the Instagram links there from YGM Monologue and then give them a follow as well. So now I wasn't sure if you've, well, I don't think you have your stream schedule all settled up, but wasn't sure if you've got some streams that you've been doing lately. Again, they see all the control we have over that. Death grip on the brush, not going to have the control. A light grip on the brush, you'll have not just the control, but you can kind of look at that. I can sneak the brush right through here if I need to. Also, with the oil paints, you want to have a lighter touch with it. So you'll have less paint on the miniatures because less is more, and more is way too much. Tempted to do a little bit more with the magenta. Nah, we'll take a pass on the more magenta. I am going to get over here to my yellow. Mix some of that with the Terra Rosa. Something that's a little bit different than the skin tone. We're going to have to come back into that and restore some darks too. 7 Central, Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. Be square and be there. And actually, so now YGM, what's the next, what's your, what are the next kind of things that you'll be working on stream? So glad that you're again back into it. Here, I need to really go stronger with something here. Maybe we'll use the Brilliant Yellow Pale instead of the Fast Matte. So let's see how that's going to play out here. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, that's that is that Brilliant Yellow Pale. Don't sleep on that. Definitely not a bad idea to use that in many cases instead of something like white. Oh, monologue, that would be fantastic. I really hope that it works out and makes that easier. Gives you some more options. Oh, yeah, we're going to try and get a little bit more of our light right over there. Okay, and maybe not any more on that tree. Let's see if we can do a little bit. Whoops, not that light. On this tree here, we'll take again the yellow, the Terra Rosa. Yep, that can't have any of the green on it because it is blocked. Some Borderland, and then some Cursed City. Now, I guess the question always is with the, and of course I really hate the nebulous, unspoken rules, all that kind of stuff. Now, were you going to go kind of a standard theme on it, or were you going to be doing more of a diorama base for it? Because they never quite make it. They say it has to be on a legal base, but sometimes the legal base is on like an entire diorama. And they say, well, it's not supposed to count towards it, but sometimes it kind of seems like it does. So it's a little bit of a mystery sometimes. Now, okay, catching a couple more of our lights on the tree. But again, you can see a little bit different than what's going on over here with our birch tree. Now, over here, there's a whole lot of nothing. I'm just going to add a little skin right there. Now, the back of her hand, I need to kind of simplify a little bit of that. There we are. We did manage to introduce some of that red, like what we have over here on cheek. Might even try and spread this around a little bit more. There we go. So again, this dark sword miniature here was part of a basing tutorial. I did a half a dozen of these things. And here's another one. Where's our wolf? There he is. So this is another one that we did right here. Again, with that juniper tree. So we'll be painting those up on some of our dark sword painting series. So a space marine into a ballerina in a field of flowers. Because, I mean, that's what they should do, just kind of prance around the universe in a grimdark fashion. One can still prance in a grimdark way. Do I want to throw some more darks here on the edges of the... Nah. I might... Let me look at this here. Yeah, I think I could get some darks there. Perline black-ish, maybe? I don't know. Let's see what happens with that. Some perline black and some of our Mars black. Down in here, some of that over here too. Suppose it depends if I'm going to put any foliage on that, but I think we won't. I think we're just going to leave it as is here. So monologue, and that should be really, really fun. I guess we have to find some really nifty flower, tufts. Well, unless you're going to custom make those. There are some interesting kind of sci-fi color ones out there. You know, I'm going to go back here to the Egyptian violet and see if we can darken that down a smidge. As the darker that gets, the the lighter object source lighting is going to be. Now we also, remember we took the indigo and the violet, mixed that together over here. Let me see if we can do a little bit with our dark over there. I'm going to get me just some kind of light. I'm just looking to see, does any of that hit? Well, maybe it could. I guess it could possibly. Well, that's not the latest green in the world, but let's see what happens with this. That's kind of a dirty green. Just throw a few little bits of that green here. Now maybe we'll just go with the... there we go. Some of our Indian yellow. There we are. It's almost like a yellow ochre color without even trying. Some white there. There's something a little bit different color there. It's kind of a yellowish brown. Again, we can do all this fun stuff with our tufts and our flock. I think this one also, oh yeah, this shows it pretty well too, I believe. Yeah, here we go. So this space right here, see, we can add some of this, that tall foliage there. We can add the tufts, and then you can see on the rocks it's more of a green, and then you see down here on the ground right there, it's more of a brown. Several different types of ground cover and flock went into that. Now looking at the lips there, I don't want to make those too ginormous, but let's see if we can get some red and a little bit of our Egyptian violet together here. Okay, don't want to make the lips too thick, but I think we could just do a little something right there. And maybe even a little bit of a light there next to it. I don't know. Let's see what happens with that. I'm going to try and do some more of this dark on the lips here. I want to make sure you can see that. That was just that last little bit that I needed. And I'm kind of changing the angle of that mouth so it's almost kind of pointed up that way. Not quite a smirk, but something. Kind of a sassier look. Actually throw a little bit of that same reddish purple into the hair for whatever reason. So yeah, that was our chapter that we did for the golden demons. Now, of course, the one thing we discovered, so when you do something like this, you're not gonna be able to win anything with this. Like you won't get any pins or anything of what is that, the honorable mention things or anything like that. If you do something that's not a standard Space Marine chapter, but that was really fun to do those. Really had a blast painting those guys. Well, that was one of those unwritten rules that we learned about last year. Was that if you're going to be doing a Space Marine and you want to be able to snag some kind of an award of some kind, you unfortunately got to stick with their imagery, which I wasn't aware of that. Didn't used to be that way, but I guess that's kind of how it is now. Do I want to try and throw some more? No, see, we got to have a shadow there. This also too, yeah, see, that can't also be green over there. I'm going to throw a little bit of a shadow on that too. Now I'm going to get back to a little bit of the Terra Rosa skin color here. Well, not that much. Don't need yellow in there. Let me see, is this going to be... I think that won't be too light. Okay, just a little smidge of it right there, and then maybe over there. Nowhere near as light as some of this other stuff here. I'm looking for, maybe this. No, where's another one of these I can use as a blending brush? There's one. This we can use as a blending brush, a micro blending brush at that. Mostly brushstroke maintenance here. Breaks that up nicely. There we go. Look at that. Now, monologue and see that. I think, didn't you and I talk about that? I think you and I talked about that whole idea of just doing something crazy like this, so they have to look at it and have as much fun, like you say, as much fun as you possibly can. But then maybe a little bit of jest at them too. But it's just weird. Well, of course, last time that I did the Golden Demons before last year was what, 2010 or 2011 or something like that, and that wasn't really. They didn't quite have that thing going on. Not sure when that all popped up. There we are. Okay, I was thinking that was some of her hair, but I'm like, no, that can't be her hair. Ooh, that needs to get a bit of our lighter green on it there. There we are. Now we'll do just a bit more like right over there. So by the way, that's really going to be fun to see. Um, the only other time I've seen, oh, was it the Space Marine that was painting a Space Marine? Remember that from years ago? Pretty sure it was an Ultramarine, and he was sitting down at the painting table, and he was painting a Marine. That was a blast to see. That one was, I think that was several years ago. I don't know, maybe it's also been kind of redone a few times by other folks too. One last stab there at that lighter green right up there on the. That's okay. Now we got it. Smidge of light over here on that cheek. Glad we went in here with the violet on this. I think we got the green in there. That's that darker green. Now that's another little bit of the lighter green right there on that hair. So now that goes back a little bit. Let me see if I can throw some light on the green here too. Just like this. And of course, oh hey Monologan, if you wanted to post the fabulous miniature that, what was it, 40, was it 44 people, 40 something people worked on that, the charity stream there. Again, YGM Monologan spent many hours live streaming at Adepticon and had dozens of different people painting on that. Maybe it was 44 hours of streaming, but they were streaming the entire convention practically, and for a charitable cause, and that was really cool. Pretty sure I was the last person that jumped in on that, and I was so shocked that I was the one that actually had the voice. It happened at Adepticon never, ever before. Now right up here, see, there's another little a line there. Do we want to try and reinforce that and make that a little bit sharper there? And there it is. Please check that out. That Ogre Kingdoms. I swear, wasn't it 40 some odd people painted on that? That was an absolute blast. There we go. A little bit dark there, and also a little bit of dark there. And over here to see that needs to be just straighter. I either have to add another facet to this or just straighten this out and simplify. I'm going to go with the simplification on that. That's a better idea. So 45 painters. Now, let's see, how long did it take to, well, because you had to set up everything too. I forget just how long it took to set up. That was a really ingenious set. Oh, and I remember you talking about how that was adapted then for your stuff back home, and for also too, I think at, oh, that was moved up to Lake Geneva, right? Dragonfall, that's it. There were a couple dark greens. That's a phthalo green, by the way. Now, and Monologan just posted their favorite picture of the weekend. So, everybody, again, please go check that out. And, of course, please give YGM Monologan a follow. So I think a little, there we go. We're just doing a little brushstroke maintenance there. So now we've got some facets there. Still have our light. Haven't lost sight of that. The hair up here, maybe not quite as light. There we go. I'm just going to take some of that phthalo green and we'll tone some of that down. So again, everybody please check out the instant inks there. Fun pictures. Now this, I'm going to have to put a little bit of a lighter green here on that top. Oh, that's a belt or whatever the heck that is. Hopefully this is not too light. But once again, light grip on that brush. And we'll put a little bit right here. Bam. Now, if you remember, what was this, 3 hours ago? We established that light source as quickly as possible. We didn't tap it on or tack it on at the end. We started with that pretty much. Before we ever did any texture on the tree or any skin tone or anything like that, we made sure that we had this underway. Well, I'm glad that you're able to kind of get this started because, well, crazy enough, next year not that far away. It is already November. I don't know when all the cart stuff goes up. Obviously, I'm not going to be, well, since it's very much up in the air what we're going to be able to do there or even be there. I won't be, we're just hoping that we can be there and I can just be hanging out at Fort Wapple. Won't be doing any classes or anything like that, unfortunately, but that's, hopefully that's what we can accomplish via Zoom now that we know that that is a very successful thing. Works really well with my XSplit software. Hey Pascal, how you doing? Everybody please give Pascal a follow. Of course, Pascal, if you want to post links, your latest sci-fi thing there, I know you want to get that posted into the chat there. I saw that just the other day on the Instas. There you go. See, right there. So the preview is the 16th of December, but January 8th. Well, I wonder, monologue, was it last year? It was in December or something like that when that. I know there's been years where it's been October. There's been years where it's been November. It seems like that kind of changes year by year when that then the cart goes live. So Pascal, sorry if work slash light stuff, life stuff is making it
Hello,
difficult to
little
get that
hobbits.
mojo going on the
My
painting.
dum-dum.
Thank you so much for all of us. Sure, I appreciate that. Hello, little hobbits. That's so my glow stick. Look at this. That's not exactly a cut gemstone. So I'm looking at this here. That's looking like a fine cut gemstone. So Iluvatar. So I die fighting a Balrog. I get a new robe, a white robe. That's fabulous. I don't even get a nice cut gem like that. Come on, man. Thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate that. So it did go live in December last year. All right. Well, the one thing I do have to get us is some of the Fort Wapple t-shirts, which I still have not had a chance to do yet. There was a wee bit of some, well, continuous chaos here. So Pascal, I know, is there actually, have you been able to, I know you were able to find the solution for the 3D printing, and I know sometimes for people it just has to be the right miniature. It could be, doesn't even matter the minute, it could be the color scheme or the theme, something, maybe a bust instead of, or maybe something smaller. I know that you really hammered out those small uh, Lord of the Rings board game figures. I don't know if maybe doing some of those again would be. Actually, Arid, I do like that idea. I do like that idea. Yes. Uh, now, first I was going to say Lord of the Linseed, but somehow I'm not sure anybody wants to see me doing Celtic dancing while oil painting, but I would just have the super tight pants, right? But instead of Michael Flatley, it'd be more like Michael Flatulence or something. Oh wait, oh that's right. You want to do some Golden Demon stuff? That's right. I don't know. Maybe there might be just some little appetizer or something you could do there, Pascal. So yeah, I'm thinking wearing the tight shiny pants. Uh, Definitely some kind of a fake leather or something like that.
So say we all.
And of course, Cuthbert is all good with that. So Cuthbert says, "So say we all." I guess that's what we have to do then. Yeah, Bithron. I guess we can take some skinny jeans and we'll just spray him with interference paint. There you go. There and that. So Bithron, yeah, those pictures. Are you gonna put those up on? I already did put those up on Instagram, didn't you, Bithron? Pictures of your game with all the painted mechs and your terrain. So yeah, we'll just have to get the music going there, and we'll just have Lord of the Linseed, and it'll be very sophisticated. Yes, it'll be quite sophisticated. Yeah, who knew that oil painting could be quite so sultry and steamy? There you go. Now, don't light up that shoulder anymore. Nah, I don't think we need to do that. I'm gonna try and get some more darks down there. Yeah, we just need to. Yeah, we'd have to clean up some stuff. We're gonna get the cleanup crew down there for sure. And I want to go 2 minutes with all that yellow right there. So let's go. Everybody, please check out the pictures of Bithron's the big game there with all the fabulous terrain and the painted mechs. So Cuthbert, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate that as always. And of course, really having a lot of fun here with these 3D printed birch trees. I mean, it's not like I haven't enjoyed the other Make It Epic stuff, but just a little something special about the birch trees here. And like I said, somehow I've got to locate where that tree bark is down in the basement, and well, we'll do like Sarge suggested, like Sarge says. I mean, that is his name after all. Sarge says we will try to steam that to flatten that out. I think that might be a little bit easier. So yeah, Pascal, I know I think there was a Lord of the Rings entry that you wanted to do, and I forget if there was a super specific one that you want to do for that. You know what? I'm gonna just go over here to that Egyptian violet, and we'll throw in a couple of more darks here. Ah, yeah, that's the new Elrond figure. Still waiting on him to arrive, and of course the Osgiliath starter set. I don't know that. Hopefully, will be here in a few weeks, I guess. That means yeah, yep. We're gonna get some of our. Again, that's the Egyptian violet. And what's interesting, I mean, it technically is actually a not opaque color, but you can see it can really cover here very well. Now, actually, Pascal, we've been talking about the basing there on where there's kind of a wink wink. You can use a legal size base, but I'll see things on what they basically look like dioramas. Now, of course, you could put it in the open category. You know, you could do a Lord of the Rings kind of like a painted backdrop type of thing. You know what? You know what? I want to do this over here. I wasn't originally going to. I considered it, then deconsidered it. See, that's a word I made up. Oh yeah, that's right. Complexify and decomplexify. We make up our own. We have our own language here. It's practically Tolkienian. So in the UK it doesn't need to be on a gaming. That would explain a lot. Because I saw a lot of things. I said, oh, okay, that doesn't really look like a gaming base. I wonder if the European rules and the U.S. rules are that different. Unless maybe that was the case here. I could be totally wrong. That wouldn't be the first time, and it most definitely won't be the last time. Wow, I didn't really think I could get that much darker back there, but sure enough. A little bit of the Egyptian violet. Boy, that really does stoke that. Now here we'll take a blending brush. We'll just use this guy. Bam, there we go. Softens up the line, and it's kind of blocked by the tree. We could even put more foliage there to block that there. I guess in some ways that's about to reality, I suppose. Now, if they would just lose the whole thing about the imagery, that would be very nice. You know what? You know what? I need to put a little bit of almost like a shadow over here. So this casting shadow there. Border button here. I'm gonna take the Perline black and the. Actually, I could take Perline black and the Egyptian violet together. That'll make a nice dark. Definitely make a lot of nice dark there. Okay, almost separation right there. Yeah. So for dark green. And I think we're just gonna. You know what we could do is try and. That's got a little weird dip in there. I think we're gonna try and flatten that thing out. But Pascal, I really hope that you can get the painting mojo back. I know it can be difficult for some folks. Life settles in there, and can be very distracting, to say the least. Okay, there we go. That is more. Now that looks like it's all one facet. It was kind of looking a little bit weird. Didn't look very much like a cut gemstone, despite what all of Gandalf's protestations there, that he does not have a cut gemstone on his staff. Boy, I always thought that Elrond was the grumpiest creature in all of Middle Earth. He was. It was the grumpiest elf. So I guess he's not the grumpiest creature. He's just the grumpiest elf. Speaking of which, we're gonna have to paint that Elrond once that gets here. We used to have. It was from the Printing Goes Ever On. Maybe I just need to print up another Elrond. Maybe we'll print up a larger one. And then we can have Elrond, of course. He was never really happy with Gandalf and all of his weird friends that he would bring over. They'd be partying in Rivendell. They really attract the wrong kind of crowd. Balrogs and orcs and all kinds of stuff. There we go. See, one last little bit of highlight right there. The hair was sort of just ending. Now it kind of carries all the way down here. That should be in shadow. I really would like to somehow get a little bit of a greenish light on that hand over there. Something along those lines. No, it's tempting to add some more lights to our birch tree. I don't think we really want to do that. Now, let's see. Actually, I don't know if anybody knows if there's a miniature painter who's actually painting miniatures, because all I see is AD Creations playing Minecraft. So if anybody knows of another painter that we can raid, it's getting to be after 3 here. And there is still much to do yet. And I really thought for sure that there would be somebody I was following that would be streaming right now, but apparently not. Yeah, just a smidge of light there. Also, maybe on the other side of her chin. There we go. Kind of does have a little bit of a weird, evil smirk there. Thank you so much, Bitron. Appreciate the clips as always. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I thought for sure that either Iron Ant or well, let's see, I think Joya Painting Minis doesn't really paint quite so much. Hey, Kago. Oh, that would be fantastic. Hey, thanks, Arid. Gee whiz, we could raid Kago. Holy smokes, Kago is always here. Yes, here, let me, well, I'll just try and see if I can take that and do a little copy and paste. Bingo. Thank you so much. That is fantastic there, Arid. So thank you so much, Grand Oracle. Oh, and thanks again. I'll, like I said, I'll try and just shoot you a message there with the links again, so you have all of them in one place. Because there's been a bunch of videos just posted in the last few days. That way you'll have them all in one place. So yeah, this was again Dark Sword Miniature Make It Epic basing bits, and 3.5 hours in. So thank you so much, Pascal. Sorry I have to head out. And Tea Kettle, thank you so much. Tony, it was great to have you in here. Again, please give YGM Monologue a follow. Also, Eridican Wife and Pascal. Here, let's get that raid underway here. So yeah, we're gonna really surprise Kago here. That would be fantastic. So, and thanks, Real Brush Guy. You have a good one. And thank you so much, Bithron. Thanks for posting the Patreon link as well. So here we go. Let's head on over that way.